How are you feeling today? Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready. What if I told you there are some brutal, harsh truths about dating men you must know before you even begin dating them at all? What if I also told you that if you choose not to learn what these realities are, then the men that you date will use you, abuse you, and take advantage of you? If you would rather learn what these realities are than have to experience them, then join me on today's show where we'll be discussing 7 harsh truths I'd share about dating if you were my daughter. That way, you can be understanding and learn about the situations you're bound to face as soon as you step onto your very first date. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present, so I know you're here present and actively participating. How are all you beautiful people doing? Why do I look so tall in the shot? Every time I look over, I look like a giant. I gotta move this board up. Chat, why you tell me I be looking hella tall in the shot? Barely fitting in the frame here. My board's super, I'm almost touching the ceiling. Okay, anyways. Welcome all you beautiful people in the chat. Who we got up in here? I see we got Bumba here, Dejana here, Em is here, Yvette is here, User is here, Hay is here, Diamond is here, Alexia is here. Who else we got? Mia up in the TikTok chat. And of course we have our moderators, Scotty, Sharice, and SH here. Who we got over in the YouTube chat? I see we got LP Baby here, Justice is here, Mary Kim is here, Georges is here, Kayla is here, Simply is here, Michelle is here. I think we have a lot of our channel members here. Tracy Nels, I see one of our amazing channel members. Great Fortune Cookie, one of our amazing channel members. I saw Ivy, one of our amazing channel members here earlier. Welcome all you beautiful people in the YouTube chat. And of course we have Missy America holding it down there for us as well. Let's get started with our first point here. And then we're gonna hop right into this because we have a lot to discuss. Obviously we got 7 points today to discuss and I want us to all be on the same page. I think it's going to be a great show to crystallize a lot of some of the things we've talked about in passing in other topics, but definitely an overall kind of checklist for you to be remembering and thinking about as you're going on your dates, okay? So let's start off with our point number 1. Oh, I love talking about this one because it's such an easy mistake to make, okay? Marathon dates, okay? I have a hatred for marathon dates. Not because, they're necessarily bad in themselves, but I know what marathon dates will do to you and do to your psyche. And I also know how the men can use marathon dates to their advantage, okay? So let's kind of discuss what a marathon date really is, right? What I want from you, we'll call this a normal date. And then we're going to have a bit of a timeline here. And then we're also going to have a second timeline, which we'll call a marathon date. And we'll put ourselves another timeline here. Okay? So this is the thing about a marathon date. And I'm going to describe to you what it means. So I see someone in the chat said, Natalie says, what does that mean? A marathon date is a date in which a guy will take you on that lasts 8, 6, 7, 9, 10 hours long. You do, and I'm going to kind of show you this in a visual here, right? You spend maybe the first 2 hours of the date here. In these first 2 hours, you might spend that first 2 hours eating, right? And then the second 2 hours, maybe you guys at the 4-hour mark, you guys go to a park, right? And then the second or the at the 6-hour mark, let's say you guys go to his house. And then at the 8-hour mark, you guys are drinking wine. And then by the time you get to the 10-hour mark, it is the dreaded sex, okay, right? As opposed to a situation which, let's say, it only lasts 2 hours, and at the 1-hour mark, right, you're here and you're asking questions. And at the 2-hour mark, you're wrapping up the date. Okay? Now, the reason that I say this is because I know for some of you, when you think of the idea about going on a date with a guy, you want to kind of maximize the experience here, okay? I'll even put here because I want to make sure that it's easy to read for all of you. I'll just put finish the date so it's nice and simple. Finish date. Okay? So, the reason I say this is because I know that, see, when you go out on dates, obviously you want your dates to work out. You want things to go well with the guys that you're seeing or the potential partners that you're seeing. The problem is, in an effort to kind of make things go as well as humanly possible, you're going to have this inherent desire to kind of maximize the time that you can spend with this guy if things are going well. So it's easy to only spend 2 hours on a date with a guy you don't really like and you don't really feel a vibe with. But the problem is when you go out on a date with a guy that you are vibing with, that you do like, that you think is funny and handsome and good looking and tall and checks a lot of your boxes so far, you say to yourself, well, I'm enjoying this. And if I'm enjoying this date and I'm having a good time and we're having good conversation, I don't want to ruin the vibe by cutting the date short. So he seems to be interested in me. I'm interested in him. I'll allow this date to go on to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage, right? Which is exactly what most of you end up going through. And the timeline looks usually for a lot of you exactly like this. You'll start off going on the dinner date or to the coffee shop or wherever it is that you guys meet in a public setting. And then from there, you'll go on a walk to the park, a walk around the block. You'll go for a ride in his car, a ride on his motorcycle, whatever the case may be. That'll be like another 2 hours where you guys have more conversation. That's kind of like a separate date. Then you'll go over to his house now. You'll have more conversation. You'll talk a little bit more, get more comfortable. Now maybe he'll bust out the wine and he busts out that bottle of Pinot Grigio that you really like, or a Riesling that you really like. I used to be a Riesling type of guy when I used to drink wine, right? And now you guys are having more conversation, getting more comfortable with each other, maybe eating some more snacks or some dessert or something like that. And then we get to like a little bit of a sleepover where you're feeling tired. You think you need to sober up before you go home, but the cuddling turns into kissing, turns into you guys sleeping together, okay? The problem is though, see, in one day, in this one marathon date, instead of you only spending one actual date with him, you essentially spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dates with this guy in one day, okay? Because you did so many different activities that it ended up feeling like a different place or a different setting or a different date with that guy. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Tomisin, what's wrong with that? Like, I was enjoying myself so much. He was enjoying himself. It's not like I held him hostage, right? And in fact, in some of your cases, you might be saying to me, well, Tomisin, he's the one that recommended we go to a park or go for a walk. He's the one that asked me to come to his house because he was enjoying the date so much. He's the one that offered up some wine, right? He's the one that initiated sleeping with me. But the problem is you have to set limits, especially when you like the guy and you like how things are going, because this will forever be a mistake. Marathon dates create a false sense of intimacy. And I'm not talking about just in the physical sense. They make you feel like you're closer to a guy and more bonded with him than you actually are. But the problem is, if you've only actually spent one day with the guy, but you're acting on the relationship as if you've been on 5 dates with the guy, now we're at a misalignment here. Because the things that you're doing on date number 1 aren't appropriate for the amount of time you've actually spent with him. Rather than being able to live in reality where your understanding of, okay, our relationship is here, there are certain things that are appropriate and there are certain things that are inappropriate, right? You would probably feel pretty uncomfortable sleeping with a guy who you only went out on a 2-hour date with, or you've only been chatting with for 2 hours. It's easier to feel comfortable sleeping with a guy who you've been on a date with for 8 hours though. But that's the problem. I don't want to put you in a situation. Remember, the show is titled What I'd Share With You About Dating If You Were My Daughter. I don't want you in a situation where you're actually making it easier for yourself to make mistakes. Because sleeping with a man on the first date is a mistake. It will always be a mistake. Because if he was willing to sleep with you and stay with you after the first night, then he would have been willing to wait and allow that the relationship to take its course and still be happy with sleeping with you at some point down the line. So I say all that to say, please don't make this mistake. It'll give you a false sense of intimacy. It'll make you feel closer to him than you actually are going on this marathon date. And it will put you in a position where you're now making decisions based on thinking that you guys are super close, super connected, and super bonded, even though it's only one night. And some of you might think, well, yeah, that's the typical thing that love bombers will do. Not even all men who are trying to love bomb you will necessarily be doing this. Some men will genuinely just like you so much and like your vibe and like the connection that you guys are sharing, that they continue to ask you for more and more of your time. That's not even necessarily a bad thing, but I want you to remember, as a woman, you're doing multiple things at once. And his job is to progress the relationship forward. So you always want to leave a little bit on the table so that his desire can continue to be at its peak, that he can continue progressing the relationship forward and pursuing you. Please, I know it's hard. I know it's tough when you like a guy. I know when you're vibing, everything feels like it's really good and really magical. Cut your dates short, no matter what. The maximum amount of time, if you're asking me, the maximum amount of time that I recommend that you go on a date with the man, especially at the very beginning of your relationship, we're talking like those first 2 months, the maximum amount of time you should be on that date, I'm talking like sitting down in front of him, not including travel time, is 2 hours. Nothing more than 2 hours. If you have to set a timer on your watch, on your Apple Watch or whatever watch, set a timer on your watch or your phone so that when it goes off, you know, I got to get up and I got to leave. I don't care how good the date is going. I don't care if you're gazing into his eyes romantically. I don't care if he's telling you his life story. I don't care if he's in the middle of shedding a tear, okay? You cut the date short. There will be, and there's supposed to be, more dates, okay? Right? Your goal should always be getting more normal dates, not getting less marathon dates, okay? Because the more normal dates you can have, that means the longer he is consistent with you. Marathon dates are easy to have once or twice, but for the most part, you'll notice that the men who are good at having marathon dates with you, right, will also be very good at not talking to you outside of the marathon date. Okay, and that's not going to be a sustainable way to date men for you and what you're looking for, because you're looking for a long-term relationship. Okay, so please, no matter what is happening in the date, no matter how much you're enjoying it, you cut that date short. Such an important part of understanding relationships and dating the right way when it comes to men. Now, I'm going to be really passionate about all the topics we'll discuss here, okay? This one also, I am very passionate about. This next point we will discuss together because I think that it's very important for you to understand this in a larger sense so that you're not confused or having anxiety, right? So, number 2, write this properly. I'm going to put you here. Don't worry about how I draw you, okay? You worried about the wrong thing, okay? Pay attention to what's supposed to be happening in the show here. So you're going to be here, all right? This is you. I should have just drawn you bald. I'm giving you hair today. This is the man that you're dating. He's got a large head. Not a lot of brain in there, though. Okay? Now, this is something I want you to take notice of. In fact, let me draw him a little bit up more so that there's more room for me to draw underneath. Okay. There we go. Long body, stick body. He don't do legs. Now, what I want you to understand, see, when it comes to desire, there is the same way when you go on a marathon date, it usually comes from you enjoying this date, enjoying this guy, enjoying his vibe, liking the way that things are going. So you're like open to the idea of continuing this and allowing this date to go on for longer. Something very similar happens when it comes to desire with men. Because see, when you really like a guy and you want this relationship to go well, his happiness matters to you. So when he's happy, right? That's a good feeling. You like that. You want to make this guy feel happy. You have a desire, right, to make him happy, right? When he expresses to you the fact that he really has a lot, we can even put here of desire for you, right? That also feels good, right? Because you're like, okay, he really wants to see me. He wants to spend time with me. He wants to talk to me. And all of that is good. So you enjoy giving him all of these positive emotions. But here comes the tricky part. And this is the part that will probably have been confusing you in your dating and talking stages, which I want to recorrect for you. See, when guys do this thing where they express to you anxiety that they're feeling, this becomes a very slippery slope, because when he expresses to you anxiety, that is not something that you want to give him, because you like this guy and you want to see him happy and you want to see him satisfied and you want to make his life better and his quality of life better and make him feel good in this relationship and about you. And because you want to make him feel good, when he expresses to you an emotion in which you would consider to be negative as it relates to the relationship, well, now you're concerned. Now you're thinking about, how can I change up what I'm doing in order to make sure that he no longer feels anxiety? I don't want him to feel anxiety. But here's the problem with this mindset and what this will do to you. This will cause you to start solving problems that should actually stay problems. Okay, let me kind of break this down so you understand really, really specifically. Let's give a specific example of how anxiety can present itself in a dating stage. Let's say you're following a lot of my advice, right? You're not a textaholic. You're not on the phone 24/7. This guy that took you out on 1 or 2 dates, it was a normal date. He enjoyed his time with you. You cut it short. You went home and he really wanted to see you again. Now he's talking to you and he's texting you about how much he enjoyed the date, right? You tell him, yeah, I enjoyed the date too, but you're not being super, super duper Shakespeare texting or super emotional over text or telling him how amazing he is or validating him over text. Now what's going to happen is, as these techniques work really well for you, and you start to get guys really leaning forward. When I say leaning forward, I just mean really into you, asking you for more. They're going to start expressing a little bit of anxiety that you don't text them enough. You don't really call them ever. You don't really reach out to them ever. You don't really ask them to hang out, right? And they're going to start expressing that, I just don't feel like you're on the same page as me. I feel like I like you so much more than you like me. I feel like every time we talk, it's because I ask you out, or I ask you to talk, or I text you, or I call you. And so as he's expressing this anxiety, remember, your goal here subconsciously is to make this man happy. So when he's telling you, oh, you don't call me ever, you don't text me ever, you don't ask me out ever, you start to feel bad. You start to feel poopy. And now you think to yourself, okay, well, let me make an adjustment, because Tomisin gave me these strategies and stuff like that. But those are for the girls that the guys don't even like. Obviously, this guy really wants me. Obviously, this guy really likes me and he enjoys spending time with me. So I'm going to make an adjustment here and text him a little bit more, because that's what he wants. I don't want him to have anxiety. I'm going to do a job of calling him a little bit more, because that's what he's been asking for. Like, I don't want him to feel like I don't like him, like I don't want to be with him. I'm going to call him a little bit, just let him know I'm here for him and I want to talk and all this other stuff. But what you don't realize that you're doing, as you take away this anxiety, right, you're actually taking away his ability to desire you simultaneously, right, at the same time. But you don't realize that this is happening, because desire can only exist where you're not. I'm going to say it one more time so you don't miss it. Desire in a man can only exist where you're not. If you're overly present, if you're overly available, if you're always around, if you're in his face, he cannot desire you. It's impossible. You are already there. So you have to understand, such an important part to dating is ignoring when men will express anxiety to you and not changing anything up, because that's the number one spot where you can go from having a guy who really likes you and is really invested in you and really wants to make a relationship work with you, and you can transition that to the opposite end of the spectrum where you're the one leaning forward, you're the one that's doing everything, managing the relationship and progressing it forward. Meanwhile, he's now leaning back. And some of you have actually been in the situation where you start off and the guy is the one that likes you more. And then as time goes on, it flip-flops and now you're the one that likes him so much more and he's pulled all the way back. I don't want you to make that mistake in your dating stages. I want you to remember, no matter how much anxiety he expresses to you about not being able to get as much access to you as he wants, that is exactly the type of problem you want to be having in your relationship. You want your man upset. I know it sounds very strange. You want him to be upset with the amount of time and energy he receives from you. It is vitally important to the relationship progressing properly, because from that anxiety that he feels towards the fact that he's not getting enough of you, he will begin doing work to try and get more of you, more of your time, more of your energy, more of your focus, more of your attention. When a man is working to get more of you, that is when he's putting his best foot forward and trying to impress you. It's the exact same reason why every time you to go on a date with the guy you don't really like, or you talk to the guy you don't really like, you hear all the things he says to you and all the things he does for you and how he goes above and beyond for you. And the only thought you have in your mind is, I wish the guy that I actually liked would do all of these things for me, right? Because the guy that you're barely paying any mind to is the one going above and beyond to try and impress you so that you'll see him and want to be with him. Meanwhile, the guy that you're trying to make him super happy and do everything you can in your power for him to like you and want you, that guy is actually the guy with the least anxiety as it relates to you and his relationship with you. Subsequently, it's also the guy with the least desire for you, because you're the most overly present with this man, satisfying all of his anxiety and never once making him feel like, I need to work harder for you or your affection or your care or your focus. Okay? So dating men is also understanding, when I like a guy, even though I have an innate desire to make him happy, I don't want to satisfy him when it comes to his anxiety to see me or spend more time with me. In fact, what you want to do is you want to be pacing it just perfect enough where he sees you enough to continue liking you and wanting to spend more time with you, but never enough that he's ever feeling satisfied. He's constantly in a state on edge with just enough anxiety that he says, I still want more. I still need more. We went on a date 3 times this week, and I took you out 3 times, and I still want to see you more. That's perfect. Leave it there. Don't ever let men get to a place where they say, yeah, I just want to be by myself today. Yeah, I was just thinking I'd have some alone. Never. Once you sense that, especially early on in your dating stages, right? And you sense a guy is starting to think to himself, yeah, I want to spend some days away from you. I want to kind of chill and relax by myself. As soon as you feel that energy from him, you withdraw. You give him some space. Because we need him to miss you and have some anxiety as it relates to you in order for this to work properly. Okay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? Abby says, a little crack, get him addicted. It's good. It's good. Don't be in fear, chat. I know when you go out on a date and you like a guy, you start to get fearful of losing this guy. But you have to understand, if you're really going to play the game of desire, because it is a game. Some people know how to do this well and some people don't know how to do it as well. If you're really going to play into the game of desire and get that guy wanting you instead of just the other way around, then you have to understand how to let him and allow him to exist in his anxiety and not be trying to solve that problem for him, okay? So let's hop into our number 3 point, which is also super important. You gotta let go. Now, specifically, what are we letting go of in this scenario, right? In this one, you're not in this picture that I'm gonna draw. In this one here, I'm gonna draw 2 men. So one of these men, we'll put, this one has a shape up. So this is his shape up here. There we go. This guy's like a black guy. This other one's a white guy. You have no type here. Maybe he's got gold grills or something. You're into some weird type of stuff, okay? You like all different types of vibes. And we'll make this guy built. Why did I draw him with a t-shirt? I don't even know why I did that. He's got mitts here. I'm overly doing this. It's okay. Who cares? All right. So let's say you have two types of guys. Okay. So this is man 1. And this is man 2. All right. So when you start dating, guys, you're going to eventually, as time goes on, build up your preference list, meaning you're an individual with your own specific needs, your own personality, the way that you work, and the way that you receive and give love. There will eventually come a time where you start to realize that, okay, I'm looking for the type of guy that does this, looks like this, wants this, feels like this, talks like this, acts like this, all that good stuff. You're going to create your preferences, which is a good thing. The better understanding that you have of that is always good. Never think to yourself that having preferences or an understanding of what you want and what you need in a relationship is bad. So what's going to happen is you're going to meet guys and you're going to say, okay, this guy, he's medium ugly. Let's say he is kind of funny. And maybe he wants to go 50-50. And maybe he's got a, decent D game, okay? But here's the thing, and this is what I want to kind of, in restructuring your brain and the way that you approach dating. See, there is going to be a desire for you to date guys. Maybe you like their vibe and you like the way that things are going. And then as soon as you begin dating them on an ongoing basis, you start thinking to yourself, well, I really, you don't really dress nice enough for me. And you're medium ugly, but you're a little bit too medium ugly. I really want a guy that was a little bit more, just a little bit more pretty. So could you dress a little bit nicer and change up your wardrobe and kind of like get better shirts that are better fitting, right? I like a guy that's funny, but sometimes I just feel like I need someone who's a little bit more serious. Okay, so could you maybe like adjust that in the way that you approach things and the way that you approach our dating life and take things more seriously and not make everything a joke? You say that you like 50-50, but I watch Shira and some other content creators. I don't really like that vibe. I want someone who will spend money, right, on me and in our relationship. Let me draw this S properly. I want someone who will spend money on me and in our relationship, right? You've got a decent D game, but maybe if, you just need to learn some things and maybe you could really, could you really just D me down? Right? And learn a couple of tips and tricks so you can actually do this, right? So what am I saying here? And what am I trying to show you here? Sometimes you're going to meet men. And when you begin dating them, even though you like their vibe, there's a lot of things that you inherently want to change about them or adjust about them because that would just make them just a little bit more perfect for you and for your needs. And you might get to a point where you start saying, yeah, he's cool and everything, but if I could just change this, he would be even better. If I could just adjust this, he would be even better. If I could just make this a little bit different, he would be even better. But the problem is, and the thing that I want you to realize about dating, you have to let go of trying to get men to be what you were looking for and realize that men are going to show up for you in the way that they see fit. So when you meet someone, I want you to let go of trying to control the way that they are, the person that they are, the way that they talk, walk, or treat you. And understand that the best thing for you to do when you date someone is allow them to be themselves. Then you decide for yourself if that is something that works for you or doesn't. Okay. And I know that this is difficult because when you start dating, especially when you're in a mode where you're a little bit more desperate in your dating life and you really, 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 really want to find a boyfriend, you might just say, okay, I just will go with the first guy who likes me, or whoever shows me the most interest, that's the guy that I'll date. But then the moment you start dating that guy that just showed you a little bit of interest, you then start thinking, okay, yeah, you showed me some interest, but I would love for you to be different in this way and different in that way and different in this way and different in that way. You can't do that. You also, while you're dating, have to be thinking to yourself, it's not enough for you to just have interest in me. You also have to fit the criteria of what I'm looking for. But you're not in the business of forcing men or changing men to be the criteria that you're looking for. You're letting go and you're allowing men to be themselves, and then you're deciding from whoever they are and however they are if they fit your already existing criteria. It's a drastic switch to the way that you're going to go about your dates. Because I know that a lot of you are going on your dates and you're looking for the man that likes you, right? Or the man that likes you. Then once you find the man that likes you, you're trying to change him into the man you actually want to be with. When you should be going on dates, obviously, and then when you're going on dates, you're also factoring in, just because you like me, I also need to think about, do I even like you? And do you fit my needs and what works for me? You have to be thinking about your needs. But even as you're thinking about your needs, you're letting go of the desire to control men and turn them into what you're looking for. Okay? Right? Someone said 34-year-old grandpa, yes, 2 positions, max 10 minutes. Y'all have some dirty minds. Anyways, let's hop into number 4. Okay? I hope that makes sense to you guys, right? You got to let go. And let go of the desire to control those men. A lot of drawing I'm doing here. Hopefully our next few points is not too much drawing. Okay, I'm not no artist. All right. So, in our point number 4 here, let's get right to it. This is another really important thing that I want you to be able to visualize here. Let me make sure that, oops. See, I already knew it. I felt it in my bones. I don't want the spell police to get me. Okay. So, we are going to draw just, I was going to say woman. It's you, okay? You're here at the top. And then you have, we're going to draw something very interesting that I want you to actually really pay attention to, because this is really important here. All of these different men here. Okay. This is something I really, really, really want you to get an understanding of, because this will change your dating life a lot. When you start dating, see, I know some of you start thinking to yourself, well, I should date, as many men as I possibly can, keep my roster alive, and the best man, may the best man win, right? I know a lot of dating coaches will give you that advice. Now, I'm not even going to tell you how you should go about that, whether it's good or bad to have a roster. But what I want to share with you as it relates to dating is, I want you to be very hyper aware, whether you're going to have a roster of 8 men or only date 1 man at a time. You need to date as efficiently as possible. There can be a situation where, see, when you want to have a roster and you want to enjoy yourself and you want to let the best man win, you might end up in a situation like this. This guy is, let's say, your money man, okay? And this guy is the guy that has good D. And then this guy here, let's say he is the pretty boy. And let's say this guy here is famous, right? Whatever the case may be. And you have all of these different guys that kind of fit into a different category for you and in your life, right? They're all dating you. They're all connected to you. They all kind of deal with you and talk to you, right? So Here's the problem with that, because you might be thinking, oh, I got a guy with money, a guy with good D, I got a guy who's a pretty boy, I got another guy who's famous. Thompson, I'm getting everything here. I don't know what to say here, right? Or we can even add here, instead of fame, we'll say, because I know some of you like this. This guy is obsessed, right? And I know some of you are thinking, well, Thompson, I don't know if I would say no to that. Having a guy in all these different categories and being able to do all these different things, how can I say no to each one having one of these guys or all of these guys on my roster? Here's the thing though, and this is what I want you to understand about dating and dating efficiently. You don't need to be keeping men around in your life if you don't actually envision yourself being in a relationship with them. I'm going to say this one more time so that you understand what I'm saying, okay? Some of you guys didn't even know. Did I spell obsessed wrong? I didn't even spell it right. Chat. Come on. Where's the spell police? Where's the spell police? Okay, spell police. You're supposed to be on me about this stuff, all right? So that when I upload it, people aren't saying you spelt it wrong, okay? Anyways, so very important. I want you to realize it's not a good idea to be dating men when you can't actually envision yourself being with them. The reason it's not a good idea is because it becomes an easy way to waste a lot of your time. After a while and make no mistake about this, you're seeing the money man, you're seeing the good D man, you're seeing the pretty boy, you're seeing the man who is obsessed with you. After a certain period of time, okay, you're gonna get to the point where you are spending so much time with all of these men, managing all of these different men that you need in your life for a different reason, that you don't have any time left over for yourself. And you're not actually dating very efficiently because you're spending a lot of time with all of these men who are not, right? All of them are not husband material. You can recognize that. You know that to be true. And you're honest with yourself that that is the case for all of these men that you're dating, yet you're continuing to date them. Instead, what I want you to do, remember, you have your own criteria and preferences of what you're looking for. If you find yourself dating a man that you deem to be cool, but not cool enough that you would actually want to make a husband out of him, not cool enough that you would actually want him to be the father of your children, not cool enough that you would actually want to be in a long-term relationship with him because he doesn't have the qualities that you're looking for. If you ever get to that point in a relationship with a man, I don't care how much money he has, I don't care how obsessed with you he is, I don't care how famous he is, I don't care how good his D is, you cancel that man out. You cancel those men out until you find the guy who actually fits your criteria. You are not in the business of dating men for the sake of the vibes, okay? You also don't date men for the plot, as the kids say, okay? It's not the plot. The plot should be having a happy, healthy relationship for a long period of time with someone who actually just genuinely makes you happy and fits the mold of the things that you're looking for. Dating all of these men who are not what you're looking for makes absolutely no sense for you and your life. The faster that you can find your person and be with that person, the better for you as a woman. It doesn't make any sense for you to be wasting time on men who aren't what you're looking for, especially when you yourself are able to recognize this man is not what I'm looking for. Okay? I know it's not as fun because you don't get to just do whatever you want without any consequences or without any thought of the future, but in the end, when you find the person you're looking for, you'll be happy that you invested your time as efficiently as possible in finding the person that you're looking for, rather than spending it with all these guys who you're not looking for. Because make no mistake about it, yeah, happiness with each one of these men can be short-lived, and you might get a little bit of a dopamine hit from being with each one of these men, but after a while, you're going to start saying, damn, in order for me to get the guy that I feel like I actually need in my life, I need to date 4 or 5 men just to get all of those qualities from all of those different men. But that is completely and utterly unsustainable. It is unsustainable to have to date 4 or 5 men in order to just equal the one man that you're looking for. What I'd rather you do is use your time efficiently, cancel these men out once you realize they're not what you want, and then only date the men who you actually see potential with. I'm not saying you can't have multiple men that you're dating at once, okay? I'm not gonna tell you what you can and can't do in terms of that. But you should only be dating men who you actually deem to be husband material. And once he categorizes himself in the category of non-husband material in your own eyes, you have to be honest with yourself about that once he crosses over into that other category. And then once that happens, you say, all right, this is officially the end of the relationship. I don't care where it's at that time. I don't care how long it's been. Once you deem a man to no longer be husband material and you're sure about that, you end the relationship. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Be very efficient with your time and your dating time, okay? Because you are supposed to have a life while you're dating. You're supposed to still be able to see your girlfriends while you're dating. You're supposed to still be able to see your family and, have a whole lot of stuff going on while you're dating. When you start dating 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 men at once, trying to find one good man, and all of the men that you're dating at the same time aren't even the guys that you deem to be husband material, you're going to find yourself very quickly with no time to do anything else except for go on dates with men who you see no potential with. What is the actual point of that? The absolute waste of your time, okay? So please, date efficiently, right? You see men and you deem them to not be husband material, poof, they're disappearing. They're gone. They're like David Blaine, all right? No more existence in your life. Only men who you actually deem to be husband material here, okay? Let's hop into our point number 5. Damn, this board dirty. I wonder if you guys can see how dirty this is. All right. Point number 5. Okay. I don't know why I made all my notes require me to draw for this one. And I know you guys are going to make fun of me for this. So I'm just going to have to figure out a way to do this. Okay. You guys are gonna laugh at me. Okay. Some feet there. Okay, there. Okay, so this is a puppy. And here we're going to draw this one's smaller. Okay, hold on. Let me let me focus, chat. Don't judge me. Let's focus here. Okay, this is a bigger one. Here, it's bigger. There we go. Yeah. And this one with the ear here. This is a dog here. Like this is an adult dog. You better not say a damn word. Okay, so in all seriousness, this is what I want you to understand about training. Okay, because point number 5 is training. Your man is like a dog, and your dog needs training. It's very important that you understand they're kind of like the same size, right? Whatever. We're not gonna focus. We're just gonna pretend like that's not there. You get my point. You see the labels. So when a puppy is young, the puppy is very. We can call it. I'm trying to think of a good word to use here, right? The puppy is very open to training, right? It can take direction. We can also say not stuck in its ways. So, what do I mean by that and how it relates to your dating and talking stages? When you first meet a guy at the very beginning of your relationship with him, you are at the most malleable stage of your relationship, okay? If we think of your relationship kind of like cement, it's very similar. When the cement first gets poured, it is the place where you can actually make it take shape. You can put your handprint in it, you can put your footprint in it, you can draw in it, and all that good stuff. But as time goes on and the cement hardens and hardens and hardens, eventually you get to a point where there's no more changes that you can make to that cement unless you do a lot of chipping away and drilling into the cement, and to the point where it just becomes unchangeable. So the reason I say that is because your puppy, your man, is the most malleable and the most trainable at the very beginning. Did I spell training wrong? Someone said training. Oh. Thank you, spell police. Training. Okay, right? And your man is the most malleable and the most trainable at the very beginning of your relationship. So when you're dating, man, what I want you to understand is you have to be aware the difference between these two, because an adult dog is stuck in its ways, right? It will not change, right? It's also very hard to train. So, why is that important to understand? Once you get into a situation, drop my pen here. Once you get into a situation where you're dating the adult dog now, and you've established what your relationship dynamic is going to be, and how things are going to go, how you like to be treated, how he should talk to you, how he should go about this relationship. Once you've established that dynamic, it's very difficult to undo that. And I see a lot of you ask me all the time, Tomisin, I've done everything you could possibly say is wrong. I've done it all wrong. And my relationship is absolutely horrible. What should I do now? My real and honest true answer to you is you probably should start over. I know that's not the answer a lot of you want to hear, but I know that at certain points in the relationship, things become so established that when you try to change the balance of power or the order, it's going to be very difficult to do that. So when you start dating, guys, I don't want you dating and thinking to yourself, I'm just here to enjoy myself, have fun, and see where things go. No, you're here to get a result, which is a happy, healthy relationship. In order for you to get a happy, healthy relationship, there's certain things you have to put in place from the very beginning and be thinking about from the very beginning in order to get here with an adult dog that is well trained, that doesn't jump up on the couch and rub his butt on the carpet. Okay? So make no mistake about it. Some of the things that I'm discussing here when I say this, right? You're setting boundaries from the very beginning, right? If he asks things of you or for you to do with him or for him that are over the line of your boundaries, you make it very clear that when you say something's a boundary, that's what you abide by. And the expectation is that he will respect that, right? Those are the type of ways that you're training your dog, right? You're also training your man in the way that he should or shouldn't respect you from the very beginning. Make no mistake about it, men will disrespect you as long as you allow it. And from the very beginning, you might not think this is happening, but from the very beginning, when men are meeting you, they're gauging what they can get away with. They're gauging what type of person you are. They're gauging how strict you are. They're gauging how much respect you have for yourself and how much you're willing to stand on business. Okay? And don't think that it necessarily means you have to go on your dates and lay down the rules of the land and tell him all the commandments that if he's going to date you, he's got to do this and no. You can still do it in a feminine way where you turn down offers that don't respect you. Okay? And you gladly say no to things even if you know it's going to make someone upset. There's plenty of feminine ways to still do that, set boundaries, say no to things, and show that you have self-respect without screaming and yelling. Okay? And I want you to do that because your man is like a dog. He's always learning from that very first date. Don't think that you have any time to chill, any time to relax, any time to just not care about how you present yourself. From the very first date, he is taking in information to understand how he can treat you, what the expectations are, and what the standards are. He's always understanding what is required of me in order to show up in this relationship that I can get access to her. They're gauging that. So you have to be making sure that if this man is going to be investing in you and you're going to be investing in him, that you don't end up not training your dog or your puppy, at the beginning. That puppy, now when, when your puppy's small and cute and he bites on your finger or nibbles on your finger and you're like, oh, stop it, little puppy, right? Because you're just like, oh, it's so cute. It doesn't really bother me or hurt me. But then when that puppy is a 150-pound dog and its teeth are razor sharp and it can cause you to bleed when he bites you, is very different now. Now you're trying to undo all the things that you allowed to happen when he was small and cute and cuddly, and you weren't focused on thinking about the future of when the dog gets bigger. Understand it's the same thing when you date men. Your dog will eventually get bigger. And the problems aren't going to go away magically, okay? The issues and problems you have when your puppy dog becomes an adult dog will just be larger and even more impactful. So make sure that you nip those things in the butt and get an understanding of what the expectations are and the dynamics should be, okay? And you set a standard for what you're willing to do and what your level of self-respect is. Okay, very, very important that you do that in your dating stages, right? You're training these guys on how to treat you, okay? You're not telling him, but you're also letting him see whether or not you have some real self-respect. Let's hop into our sixth point, point number 6. We went through these fast. Okay, enough of that train wreck of me drawing, okay? Because you guys be making fun of me. All right, let's hop into number 6 here. Okay. So when it comes to punishment, one of the things that you can make a mistake of when you're a dating man, let's think of this in a visual sense. And let's think of this box here is like your rules box, okay? And let's say you have all these different men. All of these different men exist in your rules box here. And what do I mean by rules box in this visual sense? I just mean that, hey, when you go about your dating life and, you're meeting different guys, all of these different guys have these expectations. These are their consequences if they cross your boundary. You don't tolerate these things. You're not okay with these things. And all of the different things that should happen when you go out into your dating stages and your talking stages, right? You have your rule box for all these men. What I don't want to happen though, see, I don't want you ever, ever, ever when you start dating men, I don't ever want you to make a man feel like he is existing outside of this rule box, okay? This is going to be very painful and difficult for those of you with anxious attachment styles, and also those of you who have a problem setting boundaries with guys that you really like. Because remember how we talked about in the beginning of the show, when you really like a guy, you're inclined to want to make him happy? You start to feel like I'll be upsetting him if I set a boundary here or if I actually punish him for the action that he took here. So you're more inclined to say, oh, well, I really like you, so I can't stay mad at you. And you'll say things like that. It sounds cute because you probably heard it in a teen drama somewhere. Oh my gosh, I can't even stay mad at you. You're just so cute. You're just so funny. You're just so attractive. You just make me so horned up. I can never stay mad at. Don't do that. Don't do that. You punish the man that you like the same way you would punish anyone else. I know you might feel bad about it. It's okay to feel bad about it. But what I want to happen is even though you feel bad about it, you still punish him. And when he asks you, but why did you punish me? I'm so sad. I feel so bad. I feel like a bad boy. You tell him, look, this is my rule for anyone. And doesn't matter that we've been dating and we've been vibing. That's my rule no matter what. I know it's going to make you feel like a mean girl. I know it's going to make you feel sad to put your puppy dog in timeout. when he looks so sad and he's got such a sad face and he's so apologetic. But I promise you, it will do you well in the long run to date men and go about it this way. Because when you date a guy, see, some guys, they will test you. They'll test your patience. They'll test your self-respect. They'll test if you're really about the things that you say you're about. It's okay, right? Some men just need to learn that you are who you say you are. It's fine. And once they learn that you are who you say you are, they will eventually realize, okay, she's just not one of those girls that I can get over on. But now I realize that she's not one of those girls I can get over on. I'll make an adjustment and I won't do that again. Some men, they need to be spanked, not in a dirty way. They need to be spanked in order to realize that they have to show up for you a particular way and it's going to be nothing else. Okay? But that's a good thing. Once you can have men humbled, right, that come to you and that you're dating, and understand that he will get the same punishment as every other man. He doesn't exist outside of your box of rules. There's nothing that makes him inherently so special that he can do whatever he wants. Meanwhile, everyone else gets it. Do not set that precedent. Don't set that foundation. Don't train your men that way. Because come down the line, right, after a couple of years of him feeling like he's above the law, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to break more and more and more rules, knowing that there is little to no consequence, okay? What you want to happen, actually, if you want to take my pro tip advice, be the most strict and stern that you possibly can be at the very beginning. That way, when you get down to 1 year, 2 years in the relationship, you don't have to spend so much extra breath being strict and stern because he already knows and understands that you mean business. So he'll already have an inherent fear to be doing a whole bunch of effery, okay? I know it sounds very weird, but it's the same thing, like I said, of training your dog, okay? After a while, it doesn't even become about necessarily enforcing all of those rules or constantly stating the same thing over and over again, because there's an understanding that this will be the response if you don't show up for me the way I expect you to show up for me. And you won't even have to go crazy or do anything crazy in order to do that. I seen someone ask, well, how do we give punishment? How do we understand that this is the rule box, and if you break the rules, you're not going to get any special treatment? The number one punishment that I always advise you to give, especially when you're dating a guy and you're in the stages where, neither of you are sure if this is actually going to work out, you always withdraw from men. You give them no answers, you give them no explanation, and you do not tell them, I'm withdrawing from you. It defeats the purpose, okay? You just withdraw from men and you allow them to come to you and ask you, hey, is something wrong? Is something bothering you? Is there an issue, right? And in certain cases, you're going to allow them to beg, okay? It depends on the case. But depending on the severity of what rule he broke or what he did, you're either going to allow him to beg or just allow him to come to you first. And then when he comes to you first, you can explain what it is that's been bothering you or what it is the issue is. Now, I know for some of you, that's going to cause you a whole lot of anxiety when I say to do that, because you're going to be thinking, well, Tomisin, that first of all, that sounds like toxic advice. That doesn't sound like a clear, open, transparent communication. You're in the dating stage. Okay? Remember that. This is a war. You're not here to be the most mature. I like to keep open and clear, honest communication. I was learning from my therapist that, if I just be transparent with my thoughts and my feelings and express how things that you're doing are making me feel, that you'll be as mature as me and you'll be able to express to me how. That's not how the real world works. Okay? Maybe your therapist will tell you to do that because in your therapist world, that's the perfect world that we live in. Just because you try to be open and transparent and communicative with men that you date, it doesn't mean they're going to give you that same thing in return, unfortunately. Okay? So let's live in the real world here, and let's understand that what men really understand, when they really understand that there's a problem, it'll be when you have withdrawn from them. Anytime you show them attention, they will assume that nothing is wrong. When you actually withdraw from them, you don't pay them any mind, whether they're doing something good or bad, they automatically start feeling anxiety that they've done something wrong or they've lost you. Because they're used to girls going crazy for them even when they do something bad. And they actually don't think of it as doing something bad, because when they experience you going crazy on them, spamming them, crashing out, calling them 100 times, texting them 100 times, blowing up their phone, messaging the other girl, okay? Any of those things, it's a whole lot of energy put into him that makes him feel like really, really special. And it actually, as weird as it sounds, it reinforces the idea that he's kind of like above the law. He's some sort of special being, that the place that all these other men exist in the rule box, they get punishment, but you also don't care that much about them. And he's the one that, you care so much that you're willing to crash out and go crazy and do all this extra stuff because of how mad and upset he makes you. Okay? The dating phase, your number one key to success in terms of punishing men is complete withdrawal with no explanation until he asks for an explanation. If a man that you're dating, you withdraw from because you're punishing him for something that he did or said to you, and he doesn't ever text you or reach out to you or call you for any reason whatsoever, go ahead and move forward. Go ahead and move right forward with your life and move on from that relationship. Because if a man can't be bothered to reach out to you or even ask about you when clearly he's the one that has done something wrong to you, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And I don't want you to care when the guy doesn't care. Trust me, okay? Just trust me. I want to save you a lot of time and heartache by not doing that unnecessarily, right? All right, let's hop into our point number 7. Okay? And everything that you do, super important here. Okay? And everything that you do, you have to be thinking of this here at all times. So we'll have here, I always want you dating this way. I want you dating men thinking on a constant basis of how you can evaluate what his level of interest is in you, okay? There's a very, very important reason that I want you doing this, and I want this to be like a sixth sense that you're able to gauge at all times. Because you have to understand, in order for this dating stage to become successful to the point where it becomes you guys are actually in a full-blown long-term relationship, there has to be an innate desire on his own end to build a relationship with you, progress this relationship forward, that it eventually comes to the point where he's asking you to be his girlfriend. In order for this to happen, though, there has to be a high level of interest on his part. And he should be expressing this high level of interest on his part, because you should feel like, okay, because he's so interested, he asked me out on dates. Because he's so interested, he calls me first. Because he's so interested, he texts me first. Because he's so interested, he blank, 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 blank. His interest is what's going to actually push him to take action on the relationship and move it forward, which is exactly what the man should be doing in a relationship. He should be the one moving it forward. I guarantee you, anytime you as the woman in your feminine energy is taking on his role of progressing the relationship forward, I can assure you that relationship will be unsuccessful. You need men to be the one progressing it forward. But in order for him to progress the relationship forward, his interest in you needs to be high. Here's the problem, though. And this is where I want to have a conversation with some of you. Some of you have lived in a constant anxious state. Because you live in this anxious state, you are very, very scared of the possibility of realizing that a man that you like and you really want a relationship with him to work, you're very, very, very scared of realizing that this man has little to no interest in you. Okay? For some of you that live in an anxious state. And because you're very scared to have to come to this realization that the man that you like has little to no interest in you, you constantly do things to make yourself feel like he has interest. and make yourself feel the way that you would if a guy was interested in you by taking the steps necessary to fill in the blanks of the things that he's supposed to be doing if he had high interest for you, but instead you're the one kind of progressing them and putting them into place so that you can feel like, keyword feel like, keyword feel like his interest in you is high. But here's the problem with this grave, grave mistake. Because you are the one putting things into action so that you can feel like his interest is high, i.e., asking him out on dates, i.e., giving him your number when he never came up to you and approached you just because you knew he was looking at you and he probably wanted it, right? i.e., recommending you guys go out on a date and go here and do this and do that and setting the itinerary for the date. i.e., being the person who is majority calling him and texting him every day to continue talking to him, despite the fact that you know he's been talking to you less, that you know he's been texting you less, that you know he's been reaching out to you less. All of those things are actions that you're taking so you don't ever have to realize the truth, which is that his interest level in you is low to very non-existent. But unfortunately, as you do that, and you do that, and you do that, you're only prolonging the eventual realization of the truth. Because eventually, you'll be doing so much that it'll be impossible to deny or ignore the fact that the only way this could be going on like this for so long is if the guy that you've invested heaps of your time and energy into actually doesn't have a lot of interest in you. And that is a really painful realization because some of you might even be in what you consider to be a relationship with a guy who has little to no interest in you. And the only reason you're in a relationship with that man is because you've been doing all of the work this entire time to keep this relationship going. And the moment you take your foot off of the pedal, the relationship completely falls apart. That's why I want you, when you're dating men, yes, you have your preferences, but also you want to be gauging where his level is at, okay? You want to be gauging if his interest in you is high. You also want to be gauging if his interest in you is very low. And you want to allow men to show you what that level of interest is. Do not ever, do not ever, do not ever take actions in the relationship to try and mask your realization. Okay? So what does that mean? You're never going to do reaching out when you notice he's doing less reaching out. You're never going to call him more or ask him out on more dates when you're noticing he hasn't asked you out on a date in a while. You're always going to be observing how he's choosing to treat you, how he's choosing to show up for you, and you're going to be, I know it sounds difficult, you're going to be breathing it in and accepting it as the truth. And understanding that if he is showing you signs of little to no interest, that is the truth. Doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make you ugly or disgusting or undesirable. Just understand that that is the truth. He is showing you that he has little to no interest. You're not going to try and make him have more interest. You're not going to try and force this relationship to work. You're just going to be understanding that I shouldn't be wasting my time on a man who has little to no interest in me. Because there is nothing I will say, do, there's no backflips, there's no sleeping with him, there's no spreading my legs wide open and bouncing my dump truck back on him that's going to magically make him have high interest in me if he's clearly showing me that his interest in me is low. Okay? Reason I say this because every time I give you guys advice on different things, sometimes you guys will ask me, can I use this on a stranger? Can I use this on the guy in my building who barely even talks to me and gave me a look the other day? Can I use this on a guy who hasn't asked me out at all, hasn't shown any inclination that he wants to date me, but I want to be with him? No, you can't use any of my advice on those guys. They have little to no interest in you. It's just the reality, okay? We're not all going to appeal to everyone, even me, okay? So it's impossible for you to appeal to everyone and all of the guys that you like or find interesting to have high interest in you. That's okay. But recognize that and don't waste your time. Okay? All right. Do you guys have any questions about all the 7 that we just discussed here today? Does that make sense to all of you? You can ask your questions now and I'll be answering them for the rest of the show. Let's see here in our donations here. We have Cece, who became a member of the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Cece. I appreciate you. And we have Henya, who donated a $10 donation. Thank you so much, Henya, for your $10 donation. I so much appreciate you and all of you. I know some of you probably donated in the TikTok chat, gave coins as well. I can't see it on my screen here, but thank you so much to all of you that have donated, okay? Ayanda says, your intuition never lies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So someone says, what if he expressed anxiety about the way you question him, etc.? Is that bad anxiety? Well, what do you mean by the way you question him? Like the way you ask questions? Does he feel like you're prying? Here's the other thing to note. If a guy has anxiety about the way you ask questions, then he probably has anxiety about the truth that he might inadvertently reveal to you through your questions. So just think about that as well. And think about what things may he be concerned about revealing to you. Trust me, if a guy has nothing to hide, why would he not enjoy answering questions? Now, if a guy has something to hide, don't you think it would make a lot of sense that he finds it anxiety-inducing when you ask questions? What's your relationship supposed to be? Just you guys sitting in silence? Okay. Cece says, Tomisin, how would you implement punishment on his first offense? So, like I mentioned when we talked about punishment, obviously it's going to be relative to the situation. If a guy completely disrespects you, let's say calls you out of your name, punches your wall, breaks your phone and something like, your withdrawal is obviously going to be more than just one day, and it's going to be more than just him saying, oh, I'm sorry, and then you went. Like, he's really going to have to do something to get your attention or get you to talk to him. So understand there should be kind of like a relative balance there in the way that you punish him. Now, on the first offense, assuming that the offense isn't very large, I just want you to withdraw long enough for him to come to you about it. Okay, because guys, yes, they're a little bit emotionally stunted. But for example, if he does something like, let's say he completely flops on a date with you, like he genuinely had something to do and he completely flops on a date with you, like he just doesn't mention it and he just doesn't show up. Then the next day you withdraw from him, like let's say he messages you like nothing happened. He's like, oh, what's up? You know, da 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 da, or my bad, was busy yesterday. And he just thinks that things are going to continue as they were. You ignore that message. You don't respond to him. Don't respond to his call. Let him actually be like, no, I really genuinely apologize for what I did. Acknowledge what he did, acknowledge why it was wrong. Like, let it go deeper. Don't just, let men recover and be like, okay, it's fine now, whatever the case may be, the first time he says, I'm sorry. I know it sounds very weird, but like, you kind of want to emphasize when bad behavior is bad behavior by withdrawing enough that he has to like crawl a little bit. I know it sounds very weird and strange and toxic even, but it's the way you must train men. They understand that withdrawal as punishment. So you want to be strategic in the way that you withdraw so that it feels like punishment. Sometimes your withdrawal is going to have to take, over 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, maybe 3 days. At the beginning, it's good because when you do come back or you do answer him or whatever the case may be, he'll feel like, oh my gosh, I almost lost this. I almost completely lost my opportunity with her, which is good. You want guys to feel like they barely by the skin of their teeth recovered because it says in their mind and it sticks in their mind that don't do this behavior again, okay, which is good. You want men to be thinking, don't do this behavior again. Not thinking to themselves, oh, it didn't even matter the first time, I'll just do whatever, okay? Blue says, for the fifth point, can a rabid Doberman puppies, what? You said something about Doberman puppies. Let me look in here. Let me look in the chat. You said, can rabid Doberman puppies that say they don't have a type be trained? Avoidant attached players. I know a lot of you ask about avoidance, which there's nothing particularly wrong about that. But even with avoidance, you're still in the business of training them. Now, whether they adhere to that training or not, similar to all different types of dogs, some dogs are more easily trainable than other dogs. But make no mistake about it, all dogs are trainable. All men are trainable. But, there also has to be a desire on his part to actually show up for you as well. So the training also in tandem works with his interest level in you, because as he's interested in you, he wants and desires to be with you. So part of your ability to train him also stems from his desire to be with you. You can't have an imbalance of that. You're trying to train a man who has no intention of actually being with you or desire for you is not going to work. you're only training men who actually want to be with you. You're just setting the record straight so that there's an understanding of, if you want to be with me, then the caveat is you got to show up this way. Right? And then that's how the men change and conform to be what you need in the relationship. But you make no mistake about it, the interest has to be there. So yes, all guys are trainable, but the guys who have interest in you are all trainable. The guys who don't have interest in you or a desire to actually build a serious relationship, you can't train those men. That's not going to work. Okay, right? Azul says, do you think long distance relationships can work? My take on long distance relationship is the only version that I deem to be serious and actually work is a long distance relationship in which you meet the person first. You're able to start dating them, get to know them over the course of many months. And then at some point after that, you guys end up living in different countries or different cities, and you're essentially maintaining your relationship through distance until you eventually come back together. That's the only version of a long distance relationship I consider to be even possible. Those of you who are meeting people online and trying to build the relationship from online, it doesn't work. Okay, I've seen it so many times and it doesn't work. And I hate to say it like that because I know that some people can be outliers, meaning, hey, they meet a guy online and they end up marrying that person. But what I notice a lot of times is these long distance relationships, there's never a path forward to us being together, like all the time. Meaning, if I'm in a long distance relationship, I live in Toronto, Canada. If I'm in a long distance with someone who lives in Barcelona, okay? And I have no intention of living and moving my life to Barcelona, and that woman has no intention of moving and adjusting her life to live in Toronto, and neither of us have a place that we both want to live in at some point in our lives or in the near future, what are we even having a long distance relationship for? Neither of us are planning in the next few years or even 10 years to be in the same city together, to be closer together. So what's the purpose of us building a relationship with no intention of ever it not being long distance? We just gonna text and FaceTime forever? Don't make a damn bit of sense. It don't make a damn bit of sense. I want to see what someone said in the YouTube chat. I see some people adding me. LP Baby says, question, what if my man puppy is from the animal shelter, Tommy, aka reformed bad red flag guy? Well, one, you're not going to be building men from scratch, okay? Not that it's not okay to stick by a man and help him build, in his life. But I mean, when you're building a man from the standpoint of you're not taking a man that isn't what you're looking for and trying to make him what you're looking for, okay? You're not in the business of doing that. So when you say reformed, red flag, bad guy, bad puppy, and things like that, does he actually have a desire to change? And is that his real desire, or is that your desire for him to change? Is he able to be accountable to his actions in the past and where he went wrong and how he can make adjustments to be better in the future? Or are you the one that wants him to take accountability? Okay, those are two different things. You might recognize the ways that he went wrong and what he needs to make adjustments for. But if he doesn't come to the table with you already recognizing that and able to communicate that with you, then you're not going anywhere anyways. That's why I always talk to you guys about asking about the ex relationship. And I know some of you hate talking about the ex, but it's so much good information you will get from him talking about the ex. Because if he comes to you and he tells you, yeah, so in my past relationship, this happened and that happened, it was all her fault. Nothing for me to learn or take away from that relationship because I didn't do anything wrong. I was perfect. I'm like Prince Charming. I guarantee you'll be in the same situation as that ex. Because if people come to you and they tell you there was nothing for them to learn about themselves from their past relationship, there's nothing that they could have done better, made adjustments for, or grown in from their past relationships, then they're telling you they're going to be the exact same person here with you that they were with the other person. And that's probably not going to work. Okay? If people don't have a growth mindset, a mindset towards improving, a mindset towards, yeah, you know what? I make mistakes. I sometimes treat people badly. I say things that's not ideal. I sometimes hurt other people's feelings. It's not always my intention, but I do recognize that I have done that. And I do recognize there are areas in which I can be better. Now we can start working together, or I can start improving things based on the lessons that I've learned on how to be better. Growth mindset is so important. People who don't have that growth mindset will find it also very difficult to have accountability in a relationship or just in life. And you will be very frustrated trying to build a relationship with someone who has little to no accountability. Okay? Please, right? Does that make sense? Kayla says, if a man has majority of the qualities you want, is it good to give him the benefit of the doubt if he's working to learn and understand you? Well, here's the thing. Progression is always good. Growth is always good. So I'll answer your question, Kayla. If you're seeing progression in the way that he's going about this relationship and you're seeing improvement in terms of his treatment of you, the way that he does things, the way that he speaks to you, then that's a good and positive sign. Because I'm not saying people are allowed to grow. People are allowed to change. People are allowed to get better. You have to give them the space to do that, but you want to make sure that they want to do that, not that you want them to do that for you. And you want it more bad than they want it for themselves, okay? They should be the one leading the charge and trying to make improvements and trying to make adjustments. Once you see them actually doing that, then yes, you can give them time to make their adjustments and make steady, slow improvements. But there should be improvements, okay? Right? Kayla says, how do we know the difference? Well, are you seeing improvements or not? Can you actually give yourself direct examples as to how behavior that was once a major problem has become less of a problem over the course of time? Or do you find yourself in the exact same situation over and over again? Okay, it's not actually a very hard spot. Let me just give you a very trivial example. Okay, let's say you have an issue with your man and he never hangs up his laundry. All of his clothes are always all over the place and things like that on the bed and stuff like that, and it makes the room very dirty. And you tell him, hey, you got to clean your stuff up because it makes the room very dirty, very uncomfortable, very smelly. And he might go from not necessarily overnight going from the room being dirty to absolutely everything is neat and spotless, but now he's folding his clothes, but you notice he folds them really weird. Or he's putting them in the closet, but the closet now is a little bit messy and things aren't organized properly, right? That's an improvement from where he was. Obviously, it's not ideal, it's not perfect, but you can see him putting effort towards an improvement there, right? That's a trivial example of progression that you can observe over the course of time. But he has to be the one leading the progression. Okay, does that make sense? Doreen says, are you coaching the change or is he doing it? No. Like I said, the man is leading the progression, okay? If it's progression that he needs to make in his relationship with you in order to be a better partner to you, he is leading the progression. Of course, when you address things that bother you and things that don't work for you in the process of you guys being in a relationship, right? You're communicating what your needs are, but then he has to take the lead in terms of actually making some progression towards that. And if he's not, then you're the one basically doing all the work here, which is not going to work, right? Someone says, guys tell me they find it scary to ask girls out, so maybe it's not always low interest. User, I'm so glad you asked that question. And all of you who have that question, I assure you, I know we're in 2025. I know we've got robots. We've got cars that drive themselves. We've got so much stuff. I assure you, things have not changed since we became cavemen. The men are not scared to ask you out. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The men that are scared to ask you out, you don't pay them any mind. Not at all, okay? You don't give them any attention. You damn sure don't open your legs for them. You give them nothing. They don't get to procreate. They don't get to penetrate anything except for their doll, okay? You let them sit in the corner and wank themselves off while you go and you sleep and get penetrated by the big dog who can actually have some courage and take action because he wants you, so he approaches you and he goes and gets you. You give yourself to the big dog who can actually do things for you. The men who are, oh, it's so hard to ask girls out. I'm so shy and I'm so scared and it's so scary to ask girls out. And fine, sit in the corner. And he can watch you be with the big dog. Fine. Don't feel sorry for those men. Don't try to explain it away for those men. Don't shed a tear for those men. Don't try and offer a little bit of your box of yourself to those men. Don't do that. You give yourself to the big dogs who have the courage, who take the initiative, who know what they want. That's all your focus is on, not on these men who can't be bothered to do that, okay? It's not about being shy. It's not about low interest. If that's where they are, and they can't be bothered to do that, or it's too painful or too much of an issue for them, then let them sit there and be with themselves. It's fine. You don't gotta worry yourself about that. I feel like some of you feel bad for guys when they talk like that, so you feel like that's your time to shine in terms of like doing the work in relationships. Okay, we might have to have a whole show about that, because it's like some sort of trauma that you're dealing with. If you feel like, okay, when a guy tells me he can't ask me out or he can't be a man, it's my turn to be the man for him. Why don't ever do that? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Guys making excuses like that are only trying to bait you into chasing them, right? Because it's easier. Of course, it's more comfortable for them. Think about this logic as well. Why wouldn't a guy want you to do his job, right? If you could go to work and get paid for someone else to do your job and all your responsibilities and hand in your work for you, and you could still get paid the same, wouldn't you do that? If there was a coworker you had that was stupid enough to do all of your work and hand it in with your name on it while you get paid for all the work that your coworker is doing, wouldn't you say yes to that in a heartbeat? It's the same thing for the men. You are saying you're okay with doing his role. Why would he deny that? He'd be like, oh, perfect. You're someone who wants to do my job for me in this relationship, and you're also gonna give me yourself and your body. I'll get to sleep with you. Perfect. That deal. I'll take that deal twice. I'll take a deal 3 times, right? Why would he say no to that? Jazz says, whole point is men know what they want. The moment you feel, incomplete, walk away. Precisely. Okay. All right, chat. Let's hop into our next section, our next segment of the show, which is our React segment. Our React segment is where I react to TikTok videos that you guys have sent me around the world and around the universe, and we have amazing conversation about them, okay? So spam up your headphone emojis, spam up your camcorder emojis, because we're filming this in 4K like Diddy, okay? And we're gonna get right into our React segment. By the way, if you have a private question for me, maybe I didn't answer your question here on the show or I didn't see it, please make sure you go to the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube. Click where it says private relationship advice. You can send me and submit to me your question. Type it out as long as you want with all your details. And then when you send in that question to me, I respond to you with a voice message, usually 8 to 10 minutes long. And then you can get some advice or perspective from me that way as well, okay? We're gonna hop into our React segment. I'm gonna play a little intermission video while I clean up and get my headphones. This intermission video comes from Matthew Hussey. I'm sure some of you know him. He says, ways to stop obsessing over someone in early dating. We're gonna play Matthew Hussey and then I'll be back with you guys in just a moment.
Giving a ton of energy to it. Firstly, is that helpful to do? And if we agree that it's not helpful, how do we get ourselves to actually slow down? I would argue that it's absolutely not helpful to do that, because it shows someone that they don't actually have to provide any value or invest in us in order to get all of our value. It is a false representation of how great that person is, because we probably don't even know them that well yet. And it assumes that by speeding up and by investing more, someone will like us more. And that's just not true. Investing more in someone does not necessarily make them like us more. In fact, it might make them value us less, because they start to take for granted just how much energy they're getting from us at a time when they're not giving us that much. So if it doesn't just not help us, if it can actually hurt us, how do we get ourselves to slow down? Slowing down with someone, being someone that another person has to actually earn, is easy when we are swimming in options, because it feels kind of natural. If we have loads of options, then it's easy to assess what is the best option. Who's the option that's giving me the best or giving me the most? What's hard is going slow when we feel like we don't have any options, when we've been single for a while, when we don't relate to having attention, or when we don't relate to having attention from the people we actually want. And then all of a sudden, someone that we do feel attracted to starts showing us a little attention. All of a sudden, it feels like we've stumbled upon this incredibly rare treasure and we have to grab onto it as hard as possible. It's very hard when we're coming from a place of scarcity to go slow with somebody. It feels like it goes against all of our instincts. So how do we do it? Firstly, in the absence of options, we have to connect to the other parts of our life that give us a feeling of joy or worthiness or satisfaction or meaning, and really connect to those on a daily basis, especially when we meet someone we like. So that when we do meet someone like that, we're not thinking that this person is the answer to some kind of existential problem. And if you watch my videos a lot, you know that I like my business analogies, and I think a lot in terms of those. In business,
came on a loyalty test and left with a man who failed the loyalty test, how you think that shit gonna turn out for you? Real shit. Answer it. How you think it's gonna turn out for you?
It's a
You
great
lived
question.
with a man who cheated
That
on
is a
his
really good question.
girlfriend or whatever in 5 months.
Let me know when I can talk.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You got the floor.
Okay, so
There I am.
I feel like I'm not gonna never compare myself to the next person. So what didn't work for y'all?
Let's rewind this a little bit.
You lived with a man who cheated
That
on
is a
his
really
Sister, if that man
You came on a loyalty test and left with a man who failed the loyalty test. How you think that shit gonna turn out for you? Real shit. Answer it. How you think it's gonna turn out for you?
It's a
You
great
lived
question.
with a man who cheated
that
on
is a
his
really good question.
If I can
girlfriend or
talk.
whatever in 5 months.
Let me know when I can talk.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You got the floor.
Okay, so I feel like I'm not gonna never compare myself to the next person. So what didn't work for y'all situation and what y'all had going on and whatever problems y'all having, that might not occur over here with us. You can't put what's going on in your life on the next person.
So she's
you can't
slow.
do that. Just because
So
he wasn't
she's-
the right man
she's
for
slow.
you or he didn't want to be the right man for you doesn't mean he wouldn't want to do that for me.
Okay. I want you
Okay.
to keep that same
So she's
mindset
slow.
I
Just say
am.
you
a couple
slow.
months from now. You
Okay, so what I think is happening here, this is obviously a little bit of a clip here. What I think is happening here is this person who is in this situation. Oops, where did my thing go? This person that's in this situation is, I believe, with someone who got cheated on. With someone, sorry, who did cheating on their partner on another girl, and she's now with this guy, and then that girl is questioning her on that. I'm assuming that's what's happening. So let's extrapolate this to a situation that could apply to you and figure out why this is the wrong way to go about it. Here's my thought process towards this, and this may stick with you, that you can think about this anytime you're in this situation. Even though we would all love to feel like we're special, like we're different, like there's no one else on earth like us, the reality of it is we're just a human being. And before someone gets an opportunity to know us and know how we're different from everyone else, we're just like everyone else, okay? So the reason I say that is you can never have in your mind that you are so unique and different that the way someone will love you or see you or treat you will be different because of the way you are different. And because your vibe is more vibey than other people's vibe, and the way that you love is more lovey than other people's love, and your dump truck is more dump trucking than other women's dump truck, that this guy who cheated on that other girl, who's not as pretty as me, not as awesome as me, not as vibey as me, he wouldn't do that to me because I'm not like any of those other women, okay? I know you are special, and I know you are amazing, but please remember, the way a guy treats another woman is the same way he will treat you. Don't imagine in some hypothetical world that you have more vibes that will make it possible that he will never think about cheating on you either. Especially if the environment he's in is the same, especially when you and him go through the same issues. You can't be so naive in this world that you assume that your relationship with a man will always be perfect. So let's think about this as well. If you meet a man, a coworker who was once married, and you start a relationship with this coworker who was once married, and now you start getting with him and sleeping with him, and now he divorces from his wife, and now you're with him, and you guys start having problems in his relationship, you really think he's not going to find another coworker that he can start a relationship with? Or you think your situation was just so special and so vibey that, you know, you're the only one he would ever do that with? It don't work like that. So understand the way you meet people, that's who they are and what their personality is, and you got to accept that.
I see a lot of women ask if male yearning. Does male yearning exist? It does. But this is the bad part about it. men only yearn for one woman. So you know when they joke like, oh, that one girl that broke your heart or you fell in love with in middle school or whatever, at 18,
Middle school.
25, and you still, yep, that's the only one they yearn for. So you could be with a man married for 20 years, he's still only yearned for that one girl he met at 18 that did him so wrong. And that's the flip side of it.
There's a difference between this, though, and limerence. If he's talking about yearning, I'm assuming he's discussing someone who you actually know and built a relationship with. That's different. Then we can call that yearning. If we're talking about someone he met one time when he was 18 or when he was in middle school, that's not yearning. That's limerence. That's thinking that something is going on with this person or building them up in your mind and that nothing has really actually happened or transpired, but you're just stuck in a loop of a fantasy. That's limerence, which actually I think we'll talk about limerence tomorrow because I think it's very, very relevant to everything that we discuss here. Okay.
I ain't never made a crash out video. Never. But I don't know why. It's always the most kindest, most nicest people that shit get, like, we get hit left and fucking right. Like, we get hit left and right. Like, I don't understand it. And then when we go to distance ourselves and we crash the fuck out, now you're looking at us like we're fucking out of our minds. We're fucking crazy. No, it's not even that. It's the nicest, most kindest persons always get punched in the face, stabbed in the fucking back. Like, I don't fucking understand it, bro. I'm a down-to-earth person. I would give the jacket off my back for a motherfucker. Like, I just don't get it. I don't fucking get it. But you know what? Me being in this situation that I'm in, bro, it's made me so much fucking stronger. It has, bro. So much stronger to the point where, like, I just write it out, crash out in my fucking journal, and I move on, bro. I move on, bro. I move on, bro. I move on, bro. And it's okay. I'm just here to tell everybody that is the nicest, most down-to person in this world that it is okay. It's okay, bro. We gonna get through it, y'all. We are gonna get through it. I ain't never made a crash out video.
She said she's only crashing out in her journal. Okay. Here's the thing, okay? Nothing taking away from her experience. I understand it's painful and I understand it can be a very emotional thing. My thing that I want to share with you, and when we join the Players Club, you know, the reason it's called the Players Club is because I try to help you step into the player's mindset. And I try to kind of take you deeper into reality. I'm not saying that you're delusional or anything like that, but the issue can become when you live your life with a feeling like everyone has as good a heart as you. And I'm sure maybe you might have a great heart. Like she mentioned in her video, I would give the clothes off my back to someone. Unfortunately, in this world, not everyone is like that. And if you show yourself to be someone willing to do absolutely anything for people at all times, what you'll realize in this life is that people will take advantage of that and they'll take advantage of you. And as you grow up as an adult, well, maybe not all of you, but eventually you get taught through experience that if you do not protect yourself, protect your feelings and emotions, and only share and give to people who are also on the same page as you and reciprocating that towards you and also caring about you and your feelings, if you don't understand how to compartmentalize your friendships as well and put people in different categories, oh, this is my going out friend, I don't expect any sort of vulnerability from her. This is my, my actual real friend that I can come to for my real issues and things like that, right? If you don't understand how to kind of compartmentalize your friendships, your relationships, and the information that you share with people and give to people, you'll get walked all over. You'll get taken advantage of. It's unfortunate because yes, in a perfect world, we'd all be able to be honest. We'd all be able to be open. We'd all be able to hold hands and sing kumbaya and take care of each other. That's just not the world we live in. Okay. No matter how we want to slice it or dice it, it's not the world we live in. But you can still be happy in this world as long as you understand how to protect yourself and protect your emotions and not give things to people who have not earned it and have no business having that from you or getting that from you. Okay. I know it doesn't sound romantic. I know it doesn't sound like a love story or a fairy tale, but we don't live in the movies. Our life is real. Okay. And it plays out over the course of many, many years, not just 2 hours. So I don't want you to forget that, because that reality will be sobering, but it'll also help you actually find real happiness and not be crashing out like this, right?
I think he's slick, and I got his location. I see him out on a date, so I'm gonna sit down. Hey, Jamal.
What's good with it?
Hey. Who this? Who is this?
How you doing, miss?
This your drink?
Yeah.
Let me just sit this right here.
What?
Thank you.
Oh,
Hi. What's your name?
Katie.
No. Who is this, Jamal? You didn't know I had your location?
She said her name is Katie.
You didn't know I had your location?
I never met this woman a day in my life.
You never met her a day in your life? Oh, to see.
You never met me?
It's okay.
You never met me?
It's okay.
¿Qué pasó?
You never met me?
Bro, say que pasa.
You never met me?
He's speaking a different language.
I live alone right
You
now.
live alone?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, you have another guest. You are not welcome back at my place.
Oh, wait.
No. You want to go on dates with people from your job, so you say? How about you live with her? Have her pay for all your stuff.
Wait.
Huh?
I don't want to keep him.
Uh-huh.
So if we.
Oh, no, neither do I.
So,
no.
we need to go?
There's no
We
more.
can go.
No, you guys can stay. I'm going to go, actually.
I'm
Jamal,
trying to go.
I will make sure that all of your belongings, which is probably 2 bags, are outside. And have a great rest of your night, okay? No.
I'm gonna need a ride though.
No.
I need a ride.
You need a ride? Go with the new boo.
And you're not getting a ride with
No,
me.
no. You guys are good. Thank you. You guys are good. The heck? Who thought I would? I think he's slick, and I got his location.
Did bro say at the end, I need a ride?
Okay?
No. I'm gonna need a ride though.
No.
I need.
Yeah, sounds about right. I actually like how she went about this. Me, I'm not pull-up person, not my vibe, but I like how she went about this in terms of like, you get your answer. I know it was probably painful for her, but like she sat down and she was sure. I saw what I saw. He's here with, everything that I was thinking might have been happening is actually happening. He's here with the girl. You don't need to be see, this is the mistake that I think happens sometimes. When you get to this stage, it's like you're like so hyped up, right? On adrenaline that you just want, first of all, crash out. And then you're always thinking of, but I want to know this and who is that and where is that and da-da-da-da-da. You've got your answer, right? Because the answer should be, I'm leaving this relationship and never turning back. But sometimes you can come to this situation and crash out. I actually applaud how she handled this, because I know obviously she's probably like, her adrenaline's on 1,000 when she sits down at that table, you know what I mean? And really comes to the realization. But that feeling she will never forget. And I hope that he didn't come back to that house and was able to apologize his way out of it or beg his way out of it. Because guys like this, the fact that he responded with, no, I need a ride, I'm just scared that he came back with all of his excuses, all of his stories, his sob story. I can't do this. I have nowhere to go. Blah, 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 blah. And I hope he wasn't able to get his way back into the house, because I know that sometimes it can be easy to come across real strong and real like, oh, I know what decision I'm going to make. I'm not letting you back into my life. And then by the time he begs, now all of a sudden you're not standing on business anymore. Okay. I hope that she stuck with it. I really do hope, because it's obviously easier said than done. And trust me, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Don't think that just because she posted this video that she actually stuck by her word. You might see a follow-up video of her saying, well, it wasn't what I thought it was. I'm not saying she did that, but you just never know, right? So just standing on business is very, very, very important.
Me personally, if we have to have a conversation about being locked in or exclusive in order for you to decide you're going to stop talking or
100% she's from Baltimore. I can tell by the accent. 1,000%.
messing with other people,
The way they say tu and like you, it's
That
definitely
right
helpful.
there shows me you're not my person. Cause what? What you mean? So we can go on multiple dates, talk all the time, spend most of our time together, talk about our feelings with each other, make plans, etc. But you still feel the need to talk to other people. You're either A, lying about how you feel about me, B, an attention whore, or C, just not my person. And all three can be true at once. Yeah, I don't play that shit. I already only like 1 or 2 people a year. So
Two.
once I like you, everybody else is already going to start to fall off. So like, what you mean you really like me and you really care about me and you feel this way about me, but you're still trying to get your pickle wet by somebody else because, and that's okay because we haven't had the conversation about being locked in. No bueno. Not my person. And even then, like, bitch, I just turned 29. Ain't no liking. We either love or nothing.
I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with this from the standpoint of if you allow men to show up for you how they want to show up for you and how they end up showing up for you is not in alignment with what you want for a relationship, that's okay. I really want to emphasize, like, it's okay to date people, and then as you're dating them, you're realizing it's not someone I want to be with. It doesn't fit my way of living. You don't fit my lifestyle. The way that you approach dating or approach love or relationships isn't my way of approaching them. And that's okay. Like you really have to understand it's okay to go out on your date and realize in the middle of your date, I'm never going to speak to you again. Like that's fine. You don't have to think that you constantly need to save dates or save situations by making it work or forcing it to work or trying to make him make an adjustment so that he works for you. It's okay to just go on your date, ask questions like I advise you to ask questions, and then midway through him answering your questions, you're like, oh, yeah, I'll never date you. I'll never take you serious. You're not my type. And then you just say, okay, perfect. I know I'm not going to speak to you after this. I know this is the last time I'm going to meet with you. I'm not going to be rude. I'll finish the food. I'm liking the dinner. Maybe we'll laugh a little bit. And then afterwards, I'll tell you I'm good. That didn't work for me. And it's fine. You got to be okay. It's okay to go on one date with someone and just let it go after that. Doesn't make you a bad person. You don't got to be sticking by guys you don't even vibe with or don't have the same approach as. It's perfectly okay. You got to let go of trying to control the outcome in that sense because it also takes the other person. Okay, let's hop into our next segment of the day. It's a very, very special segment. It's an amazing time. It's an awesome time. It's a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. Please, those of you who are OG Players Club members, spam it up in the chat because you should know what time is coming. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else. Excuse me, I'm burping. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. Yeah. Okay, chat. Enough silliness. Let's hop right into our Discord time. I know some of you are confused what that really is. I'll explain this to you and how this works. Discord time is where all the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their relationship or situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there are a couple different ways in which you can submit your question. I'm going to explain all three of them to you right now. The first way, submit your question to our free relationship advice forum. Now, the way that you access that is by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. Now, when you hop into this section and you put your question, you're going to see here, there's a lot of highlighted questions for me, right? These are questions I haven't yet opened because I haven't yet gotten to them. So I'll be honest with you. My oldest, my oldest question is, 20 something days ago. It's going to take me a little bit over 2 weeks before I can get to your question if you ask it today. But if you don't want to wait, 2 weeks to get your question answered because of the long queue, it's a first come, first serve queue. You can also skip the line by putting your question into our premium relationship advice forum. Now, the only way you're allowed to put your question into our premium relationship advice forum is by first going to the link in my bio on TikTok, or if you're watching on YouTube, in my description where it says premium Discord relationship advice, you click that link. It's going to prompt you to donate to the show. It'll also prompt you to send in the title of your Discord username and the title of your question. And you're going to put both of those into that box there that it prompts you to send it in. And then in your donation, I'll be able to see that that is you and that is your question and that is your username, and confirm that your question in here that allows you to skip the line is actually you, and your question should actually be here, because obviously you're getting to skip the line of people before I go into the free section. All right. So you can do that now. The third way to submit your question is for those of you who don't want your information to be read out on the show, or you would just like it to be more personal for between me and you. This one is our private relationship advice link. It's like a hotline where you can either access this link through our Discord or in my TikTok bio or in the link in my description. You click where it says private relationship advice. And then once you click that advice there, you can submit your question to me, type it out as long as you want, and I will respond to you with a 8 to 10 minute voice message, and I send it back to your email that you submit your question with, okay? So that one is available for you guys as well if you don't want your information to be all on the show, okay? Let's hop into our first question of the day in our forum. I gotta go down. Okay, so there was one that I missed the other day. Let me see. This is gonna be tough. Okay, I think it's this. Oh boy, this is hard to manage. Okay, so I read that one. Yeah, flirting well and effectively. I'll unmark that. This is the one I think I skipped from yesterday. Okay. All right. So LP Baby says, "Hi Tommy, how do we become an eye contact pro in our dating field / world? In your episode, How Men Test You Before They Respect You, you mentioned women need to be eye contact pros. Can you please explain this and give us some practical tips, real world examples on how to become better at eye contact flirting with our eyes? Where can we practice and with who? I don't think a bar or club is good, so maybe a grocery store or nowhere precarious. Also, how can ladies flirt with our eyes when going on dates? Any tips? I don't want to be bug-eyed with excitement as I am Oprah letting these men, like Oprah, like, letting guys talk, letting these men talk, Appreciate you always." Okay, so when it comes to being an eye contact pro, the two main things that you need to be thinking about is how long you hold the gaze and also making it natural. You don't want to make it look like you're intensely staring at someone. You kind of want to make it like, so let's just imagine the easiest place for me to picture this and put you in is a club or a bar or a party, because these are the most popular places you're obviously going to be holding eye contact with a stranger. So let's imagine you're at an event or a party where you see someone that you find interesting or sexy, and now you're trying to like put yourself in their line of sight so that you can see them and they can see you. You also want guys to be able to think that when they connect eyes with you, it's also because they connected eyes with you. You don't want eye contact to be something where they look over and you're already intensely staring at them. This is where you have to kind of become good and just honestly just go about it by practicing it, by understanding how to position yourself in their line of sight. So when I say line of sight, imagine yourself at a bar, right? Let's say that, the bar is here and he's over here in this booth. You got to put yourself in a place where he can glance at you and see you this whole entire time, but you're not necessarily turned towards him the entire time. You're talking to your friends, you're dancing a little bit, you're interacting with other people. And then that way, as you're kind of making your way around or dancing and interacting, you can glance in his direction. And then hopefully, if he also finds you attractive and things like that, what most men will be doing is scanning the room and seeing who's attractive. And then you guys will catch eye contact with each other, and it'll feel more natural that as you were talking with your friend over here, you just looked over here. And when you glanced over here, you caught his eye contact. Okay, hold a little bit of gaze. Then you go back to doing what you were doing. doing. You want to make the eye contact seem like it's happening in the midst of you doing whatever you are doing. Okay, because we don't want it to be so focused on him that it looks weird and strange, like you're staring at him and things like that, right? So that is the number one big thing. Then obviously when it comes to holding the gaze, how long are you supposed to be holding the gaze for? My advice is just long enough for you to be sure that you guys are sharing a look and it to be obvious that you guys are sharing a look, but not so much that it becomes weird or creepy. So that's just something you're going to have to kind of feel out. It's usually going to be 5, maybe 10 seconds long at the max, but it's a quick glance. You should know what's going to happen. And I'm telling you, this is an eye contact, bro. What's going to happen is you're not just going to look at someone one time and then all of a sudden it'll be an approach. Over the course of the night that you're there, wherever it is, restaurant, bar, whatever, you're going to be having some gaze and then going back to what you're doing. Have another gaze, go back to doing what you're doing. Another gaze, another, and it'll probably happen 4 to maybe even 5 times, even more than that sometimes, before there will actually be an approach. Because the first few times, I'm going to tell you what's going to be happening in his mind. He's going to be gauging, is she looking at me, or is she kind of just looking around me? And then after a while of continuously catching your eye, he's going to be like, no, for sure she's looking at me. And then kind of the stamp on it will be if you can put yourself in a position where, let's say you're walking to the bathroom or something like that. And when you walk past towards the bathroom, let's say you have to cross his path in front of him to do that. And you can actually look at him as you're crossing the path. And when you're looking at him coming, crossing in front of him, he'll hold the eye contact, then you go. And then if you want to really stamp it home, you can do a quick look back when you're walking by, okay? Right? But all of these should be not super long in a gaze. But then he knows, especially when you do the look back after that first look walking by in his path, he knows that you're looking at him, looking at you, it's you and him. Right? And he's sure about this. Now he has a decision to make on whether or not he's going to approach you, right? And from there, it shouldn't be that much more difficult, right? When you talked about the way that you should do it and the technique, it's really just about having soft eyes. You're not making it look like you're intensely gazing and things like that. Having soft eyes, and you might need to practice this in the mirror to look at what it looks like, the difference between having soft eyes and looking like you're staring intensely. Sometimes you might, when you are having anxiety or you are nervous, you'll be kind of like, stiff a little bit. So it just takes a little bit of practice. And I actually don't think, if you're for the purpose of practicing your eye contact and your ability to do that, I would advise that you go anywhere. I'm not necessarily saying go to a club or a bar, but anywhere you can do this will work. If you just need to gain your ability to go out and be personable and be flirty, there's nothing wrong with going to a bar or a club or a cocktail bar or whatever to practice your ability to be flirty. If you need to get in your essence, because that's where you're going to be able to meet the most amount of men and be able to get your groove on. If it's something that's very foreign to you. The reason I say that is because at a grocery store, someone else said a good one, at a dog park. I don't have a dog, right? But I know related things can be a very good way to meet people as well. But obviously at a club, a bar, people are more open to things. People are obviously trying to see what's up with others. They're more willing to approach conversation. In a grocery store, you might get people that are doing something. You might get a lot of men that are married. You know what I mean? Like, a place that is for meeting and conversating would be ideal for you. That way you can practice and get the most amount of practice in. You know what I mean? On top of that too, when the guys are drunk and assuming you're sober, it'll just be easy. Like, you'll be like, okay, if I was cringe or whatever, no one's going to remember it. That guy was drunk anyways. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit less anxiety inducing if you can do it that way. All right. Let's go into our next question here. I'm going to do some aggressive scrolling. Okay, let's see till we get to the end here. All right, these ones we put a pin in them so that we can get to some of the other questions. And okay, we're gonna start off with Lola Monroe here. Is he wasting my time? Happy New Year. I absolutely love your content. I'm a single 32-year-old female and he's a 32-year-old man. The dating on and off, mostly off, for about 4 years. What? We were born on the same day and year, April 23rd. Oh, that's a coincidence. My birthday is April 25th. We met on Facebook during the pandemic, 2020. I don't remember accepting his friend request. That's strange. But I saw that we had the same birthday and decided to reach out and say happy birthday. Huh? What? Is that what people doing on Facebook? That's a very strange thing. You don't remember friending the person, but you see it's their birthday and you just say happy birthday? Sounds strange. We started speaking from there. Since this was during the panoramic, I'm just gonna call it panoramic so we don't get flagged here. He started coming to my home because everything was closed. He would at first bring dinner, then we graduated to me cooking us dinner. One day he told me one of his coworkers had gotten COVID. Okay, we're gonna say it like that. He, however, he failed to tell me he had been working in close proximity to this person before planning to come to my home. After probing and getting him to tell me, I was furious, so I told him not to come. From there, he didn't really come back to my place, but we continued talking. We started to plan a trip to Fiji together, and things... What? What is happening? You probed. We're in the panoramic at this time, and now you guys are planning a trip to Fiji? What? And things started to open up so we could also plan dates. Okay, I guess it's just the time has passed now. At this point, I felt something was wrong since he pulled back on the trip and even the dates. So how many dates have you gone on with this guy that you guys were planning a trip to Fiji? He would ask me if I was free. I would respond by asking him what he wanted to do. I needed to know if I would be free, the amount of time he needed. He changed his mind because I guess he just wanted to tell me if I was free or not. Okay. I moved on to dating other people, so did he. Nothing ever happened between us outside of a kiss in all this time that we were dating. He tried to date me a couple more times, but it went horribly wrong. Okay. Once was before Thanksgiving of 2022. We had a date set. The date of the date 2 hours before, he put me on standby so he could help his coworker, which he calls his play mom. Okay, chat. I'm an adult and I do have quite some experience, but I'm not sure what a play mom is. I've heard of the term work wife. I've heard of the term work husband. I've never heard of the term play mom. Can any of you in a corporate setting, because obviously I'm here with you, this is my job. Can any of you in a corporate setting explain to me what a play mom is? Because I'm very, very unsure what this means. Okay? Bree said yes, and please someone explain this to me, because I don't know what a play mom is, what it stands for, or what it's supposed to represent here. And I'm not sure what he's trying to say by saying this. Okay? Someone said a cougar. The older ladies in the office who look out for you. An older woman. Okay. He is doing. And okay. A play mom is supposed to be like a mother figure, gives advice, looks out for them in the workplace. Okay. Get groceries and prepare her meal. Wait, chat. You guys were saying this is someone that's supposed to be like a motherly figure. In what world do you get groceries for your coworker play mom and prepare for her a meal? Now I'm going to ask again, because you probably have the answer to this question more than me, Lola. Is this actually a corporate term he's talking about? Or is this some sort of KINK? Because it sounds like they're role-playing some sort of KINK. It don't really sound too much like this is really a work or office term. Okay? Sounds like they're doing some sort of extreme role play where they go through the whole thing. Because getting groceries and preparing a meal for a coworker sounds very strange to me. We had already had this date plan. I knew it wasn't happening, so I went on and did my own thing, but I was still furious at him. I even raised my voice at him. We didn't speak for over a year after that. Part 2. From 2020 to 2022, we'd only actually been on 2 dates outside of my home. Fast forward to now, he's been reaching out since early 2024, but I've been ignoring him because he never seemed serious. So why are you taking it serious now? I actually felt like he was trying to purposely do things to hurt my feelings or force me into submission or something. He'd ask if I was free to meet on certain days and wouldn't be. But instead of asking me when I was free and planning around that, he would just say okay and never ask me out. Sorry, and you wouldn't be, right? He recently came back again, but full force this time, taking me out to the nicest Michelin star restaurants and all. He told me he got a promotion with his job and he's moving to another city, Dallas. But we are both currently in Atlanta. Okay, so once again, this makes me mad. Because once again, we're talking about logistics when it comes to a relationship. What's even the point? Pele just said it in our YouTube chat. It's wasting time. What is the point of you going out on multiple dates with a guy? He hasn't, when he was living in the city of Atlanta with you, and you guys, for the past 4 years that you've known him, and he was living in the same city with you, you guys weren't able to properly build on a relationship foundation and be serious with each other. What on God's green earth makes you feel like you guys will be able to build a long-term sustainable relationship when he lives in Dallas and you're in Atlanta? And you guys couldn't even do that when you were both living in Atlanta. The reason I say this is when you learn this about him, at that point, just decide to yourself, this is a waste of time. And like we talked about today, date efficiently. So as soon as you recognize that a situation has become a waste of time and it no longer serves you or makes sense for you to be investing yourself in, go ahead and move forward. Because I can guarantee you the guy who couldn't sustain a relationship with you when he lived in the same city as you is definitely not going to sustain a relationship with you when he lives in a completely different city than you. I'm just telling you the honest to God truth, okay? He's trying to rush me into a committed relationship. Don't do that. I'm telling him after everything that has happened, I need to pace myself because the trust isn't there for me. But he doesn't seem to understand. I wonder why. The man who hasn't slept with you, that is moving away very soon, I wonder what the reason is that he's trying to rush you. I just wonder why. Every time things don't go exactly his way, he disappears for a year or two and then pops back up. And we have to start over with less and less trust. But he thinks we're cool and I'm not upset with him anymore since time has passed. I don't know if this is a mission to get pineapples or what, but I'm fully confused. Now that he's leaving, he's really trying to push me into this relationship, but I want to take my time and also consider other prospects since he hasn't shown much reliability over the years. And he's also going to be long distance. He told me the reason he was not trying hard before when he was living in your city was because he wasn't financially ready for the kind of relationship he wants with me, especially since I require a provider. But with this promotion he is having or has had, right, in his move, I honestly don't know what is going on. I told him to be insured. I think you might say assured. He's not trying to waste my time again. If this is going to move at this pace, it should be moving at your pace, not his. I don't know what to do. Please help. I've attached some screenshots of our latest text of this topic. Okay, so let's see right here. We'll get a little bit nosy here. Chat. Let's open this up in a browser. Okay, let me see. Where did this go? Oops, open a browser here. I'll drag this over here so we can read this together. Chat, you know we like to get nosy on the show. So we're going to get nosy with it. Let's see here. Let me bring this up for you guys. Window here, and then we go to JPEG. There we go. We're going to get nosy with it. All right, so you say here, you say here, hey, have you taken some time to think about our conversation? He says, yeah, I have. Anything you can share? That I can't do what you're asking me until I get settled in Dallas. So he's basically saying I can't, anything that you need from me in terms of reassurance and to know that I'm serious, I can't do any of that until I move away. So you're not even going to get any answers from me until I move away and it's already over now. Let's see what he says. I don't understand. Some type of insurance to show I'm invested. Oh, I see. Nothing else you care to put out there after having time to think? No. But the question I have is what is your time frame on dating with us? Which phase of dating you asked there? Let's see in the next screenshot. No, but the question I have, what phase talking stage? It depends. I'd say 3 to 6 months. Things will likely move a lot slower since we won't live in the same area. It's not like we can spend time together often. Okay, how often you trying to spend time with me if I was still here? I think the time should be a bit more often as time progresses. Once a week, then twice a week, then extending the date times. This is very concerning to me. I know we haven't finished here. The reason it's concerning to me is because it feels to me, I'm getting the sense that he's literally just trying to do whatever it is that you need to feel good about sleeping with him. And he's just trying to gauge what answer do you want to feel good about this, like this is the vibe that you need. Because he knows as soon as you get the vibe that you're looking for, you're going to sleep with him. So I feel like he's just asking those questions to get that answer as quickly as possible. How often should you spend time, right? Then extending date times by maybe doing something after, like a movie, then eventually visiting each other's homes for dinner dates, like regular progression. I can't believe I'm even spelling it out here. This is a grave mistake what you did here, Lola. You did the worst thing you could possibly do. You spelled it out like you said. You're telling him exactly what your expectations are each step of the way. What do you think he's going to do if he's trying to extract something from you? He's going to try and make you feel like everything is getting checked off. So he's going to say, okay, we'll progress, we'll do this. And he'll try and rush all of those things and say, oh, but you met my sister on FaceTime. So it's basically the same thing. Oh, but I don't have time. So we went on 2 dates a week, even though and trust me, he'll try and make it seem like everything you said you wanted, he did, so that he can get what he wants. Now I'm just trying to get an understanding. Why so long? Which part are you trying to get to? The committed stage. I don't think it's that long. We haven't been dating in years. We don't really know each other. Why the rush? I wonder why. Let's go on. Don't you see something very strange here, chat? Right? Very strange. The committed stage. I don't think it's that long. We haven't been dating in years. We don't really know each other anymore. We don't really know each other's expectations. I'm sure we have a lot that has changed with us both over the years, especially based on our experience. And this will be a long distance relationship. Everything that you're saying is very logical and makes a lot of sense. The problem is he's not looking to be logical. He wants you to be irrational so you can make irrational decisions for his benefit. We have to both feel comfortable and like it's time for the committed stage. I understand where you are coming from. I think since the experience on your end is different from mine, you are less reluctant than I am. I want you guys to see this, and Lola, I want you to pay attention to this. Look here, right, at how much information you're giving him about you and how to get to your heart, and how little he's saying about himself and his objectives and motives here. This is why I say talking too much about yourself with people that you're just started dating is a grave mistake. Because you don't see, it's an emotional thing that can be very tricky. You don't realize once you get into the cycle of sharing and dumping everything about yourself, it's very easy to forget that that person is not sharing anything with you. And when you're in the cycle, you just start snowballing and saying so much information that they can actually use to their advantage, and you don't even realize you're getting no information in return. You have no real idea here, and this is like a visual for all of you. You have no real idea here what his actual motives are. Meanwhile, as he's giving you no clarity on what his motives are or his desires are, you're telling him in detail exactly what you expect at each step of the way, exactly what milestones he must hit in order to get closer to your heart, in order for you to consider this a serious relationship. You're telling him exactly what must happen in each state of progression to get to where he wants to go. Meanwhile, he's giving you no understanding or clarity of what he wants here. You see how this becomes a situation where guys are able to mold and shape themselves to be what you want until they sleep with you, right? You're giving him all of the context clues. All of it. Literally all of it. Right? And every time you message, you're giving him more and more understanding. Okay? Let's go to this next one here. Excuse me, more blue. I don't think it's that long, right? We don't really know each other. Da, da, da. And then he said, I understand where you're coming from. I think since the experience on your end is different from mine, you're less reluctant than I am. Facts, agreed. This is not very good. This is not very good. Okay, so those were the extents of the messages there, right? Update, since the initial conversation we had about the past issues and how trust needs to be reestablished, he has not asked me out again, okay? I'm going to explain to you why at the end. This was on Xmas Eve. The holiday was after our conversation, and I went out of town 2 days after that. Since I've gotten back, he has not tried to make plans with me. He asked me what my plans are, but doesn't try to make any plans. We just have stupid, mindless conversation. Good morning. What you doing? What are your plans? Good night. I feel like he's going back to his old inconsistent behavior when things aren't going smoothly his way. At this point, I'm ready to just block him and be done. You should, but I'm trying to play it cool. No need. I get that he's preparing for his move, but I also know that he has time since he doesn't have work right now. I'm starting to shorten the text communication. We only text because at this point I'm annoyed. He's telling me he wants something, but his actions, he's pulling back. Not really sure what to do here. I also think it's important to note that during one of our dates in early December, he asked me if I found him attractive. Okay. I told him I'm not really into looks. The only thing I care about is how I'm treated. I also told him I don't find him unattractive. During our last date on Xmas Eve, I did tell him that it bothered me that he'd ask me for pictures of what I was wearing and asking me to send him kisses when we aren't to that point yet. At this point, I'm convinced he's trying to teach me a lesson because he somewhat feels rejected. However, I'm ready to let him have it for trying to waste my time and play games with me and then block him. So this is another update. We had one more conversation where he asked me if we got married, would I be willing to get a prenup? I told him sure. The conversation was very uncomfortable, especially since I have no idea what he has. I know he has a decent job as an engineer and moving up with the company, but I have no idea how much it actually makes. What is more uncomfortable is that he knows I want to have the option to be a housewife and just care for children, but I have no idea what his commentary was intended to do. I don't even know what he wants in the prenup. So are you noticing a theme here? You're giving him so many answers and pieces of information about yourself, and you're getting nothing in return. You're saying, I told him this, I told him B, I told him C, I told him D. I don't know this. I don't know that about him. I don't know what he wants in this sense. I don't know what he wants in that sense. I don't know what his goals are here. I don't know what his motives are here. You don't know anything. I told him that so you're telling him more while receiving no information. I told him that I still plan on making money even after marriage, and he's even lucky to be able and to marry into my family. What? Also, I told him that he has been acting very insecure. After that conversation, I didn't speak to him for around a week. After about a week and a half, I told him I need to go talk to my therapist before continuing with him. Why are you telling him this? Why do you keep on insisting on giving him so much information about you and your life and your mind state and your thought process when he's not sharing with you anything? Why do you insist on continuing to do that? I told him that all of the people in my life believe I should just let go. Why are you telling him this? Which is true. He just replied, okay. Since then, I haven't spoken to him. He's reached out a couple times, but I didn't respond. I wanted to wait to see what you think first. Lola, I want you to listen very closely, okay? You are going to block him on every platform known to man. You're going to block his number, and you're going to block any other fake profiles or numbers he's going to use to contact you from this point forward. You're also not going to send him a single text. You're not going to warn him about it. You're not going to tell him why you're upset. You're not going to do any explaining of your actions. You're just going to do exactly what I said, which is block him on every platform, including his number, delete his number out of your phone as well, so you can't even be tempted to contact him once again. And you're going to do absolutely zero explaining from here on out. You have been doing way too much over explaining to a man who does not give a damn. He doesn't care. You're giving him so much information about yourself, so much information about what you want and what your expectations are and what your needs are and how he can do this and how he can do that. He doesn't care. His only goal is to sleep with you before he moves to Dallas. That's the thing you were not sure about. I'm going to tell you this right now. All he's trying to do is get answers from you that he can speed you along, sleep with you before he goes to Dallas. When he moves to Dallas, he will never contact you for anything ever again. I 100% guarantee you, okay? The only time he may contact you is if he has family in that Atlanta area and he's coming back to the Atlanta area. After he moves to Dallas, he gets his new job, he explores that city, he will start talking to those girls and you will never hear from him again. And at that point, he will have already slept with you and gotten what he wanted from you, which will definitely mean he has no reason to continue this facade with you, like he wants to be in a relationship with you. I'm telling you this firsthand. He does not want to be in a relationship with you. He just knows that the best way to get you to sleep with him is to make you think that you guys are in a relationship. But he doesn't want to put in any of that effort, and he definitely doesn't want to take his time slowly progressing the relationship because he knows that's not what he's here for. Okay? Whenever you try to pace men who are looking to extract from you and take advantage of you, they get upset and angry and agitated at that because they want to speed things up and get it done quickly. You think he really wants you to meet his family? You think he really is like you? Okay. Lola, let me explain something to you. Okay? It's not that you're a bad person, and it's also not that you're undesirable. But what I want you to understand is, especially when it comes to long distance, people don't do long distance for funsies. If a man is doing long distance with you, it's because he feels like he has to be with you and you alone. That he is willing to be twice as intentional, twice as motivated, do twice the amount of planning and scheduling and foresight and taking time off of work, that he will make a relationship happen with you because of how much he wants you. I'm saying that to help you understand that if you're thinking about doing long distance with a guy and he doesn't seem to be twice as intentional as the average man, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. Because if guys can't get it together and date you when they live in your same city and you're only a 30 or 40 minute drive away at maximum, if they can't get it together when you're that close, do you really think they're going to be able to manage what it takes to date you when he's hundreds of miles away from you, living in a different city where you know no one and you can't confirm or deny anything that he does or doesn't do? You're not able to see or know what's going on in his life, and you're not able to corroborate any of his stories. What is the point? What is the point? There is no point. Lola, get rid of this man. Get rid of him, but don't send him another message. Don't contact him again. Don't do any explaining to him. Don't do it like, even if he contacts you and asks you questions, you've done enough explaining, okay? You've been explaining this entire time. No more explaining. You're just going to move forward, and I want you to delete everything of him in your phone, out of your phone, and off of your computer. And I want you to move forward. There's no clothes or anything at your place anyways, okay? There's no memories of him at your place anyways. You only went on 2 dates with the guy. What a waste. What a waste. Okay? Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your life. You've clearly identified to yourself many, many years ago, or a couple of years ago, that he is not who you're looking for, and he's not husband material. Stop wasting time contacting him. Nothing's going to come from this, okay? I guarantee you, once he moves to Dallas, he won't even bother contacting you ever again, okay? That's my advice to you. Let's go on to our next question here. Let's see here. Do this in the right order. Okay, Diamond. We did Lola. We'll table that. We'll table this. Okay, so we have Purple Rain here. Purple Rain says, what the hike? Hello, Thompson, 42-year-old female, and he's 49. I just joined a hiking group. The hiking group goes on local hikes every Saturday and brunch afterwards. A guy approached me in the hiking group over the weekend. We chatted and texted a bit. He hasn't asked me on a date yet, but I lost my place. But he did ask if I was going to attend this Saturday's hike. Am I jumping the gun to think he should be trying to schedule a real date outside of the group meetup? If he's seeing me every week for a couple of hours just by participating in the hikes, how is the incentive created to have a one-on-one date? I really don't want him to think that seeing and chatting with me on these hikes is good enough or acceptable as dates. If you feel I should give it more time, how many more hikes? Becoming active in these groups is great, but now to meet someone, I'm considering not going on some of these hikes and brunch. Well, I'm gonna scold you after this. Don't do that. So I did not go. You're gonna make me upset. I'm gonna scold you. So I did not go on the hike the next Saturday of the week. We started talking. I'm pretty sure he was expecting me. I did not make any promises when he asked me if I was going. The night before, Friday, he sent me a text for 5 minutes of my time before I went to sleep, and I replied, absolutely. I interpreted that message as he was going to call me. He didn't, and we didn't talk that night. I'm going to tell you why this is a grave mistake. Don't ever do this. The next day, he sent me a meme teasing me because I didn't show up. I didn't respond because I didn't understand it, and I figured I'd give him space to follow up more. He did not. So the next day, Sunday, I convinced myself I was being mean. I reached out via text. This is horrible. And I reached out via text telling him I don't know how I missed his text and to accept my apology. He said apology accepted, and he is waiting for me to call that night. I told him it was a miscommunication. He said, yep, and we haven't spoken a word to each other since. I don't feel like he is showing enough interest, and I refuse to pursue him in. How to avoid the awkwardness in the future group hikes? Oh my God. This makes me so crazy mad. You won't even believe. I'm glad you sent this message in, Purple Rain, because this will be a teachable moment. What you did here was very bad. Very bad. This is your time for you. You enjoyed going on these hikes before he was even existing in your mind. This is something that was your you time, to go out and be around a group of people in a community of people that shared your same interest. I love that so much. And I'm so happy that you found a tribe of people that you share interests with, and you liked going on those hikes. How dare you? How dare you take that away from yourself because a guy that you might think is interesting showed some interest in you. And now you're thinking about how to adjust your life and change your life and adjust your happiness. Things that were making you happy, you're not going to because you want this man to pursue you. How dare you? This is you. This hiking and this community of people, that's for you, not for him. You're not doing it for him. I understand that you don't want him to think, oh, this is our dates and things like that. But that is your you time. That is part of what makes you whole. That is part of what keeps you happy. That's part of what keeps you sane. That when a man does meet you, he likes your energy, he likes your vibe, you exude confidence, you have happiness, you have a life. You're actually doing the exact opposite of what I would want you and like you to be doing. You're taking away things from your life that take your focus up, take your mind up, give you happiness. And now you're making it so that the only place you can get some happiness, some validation, some attention, some feeling of like doing something is from this guy that you can't even confirm yet really is taking you seriously or a relationship with you seriously. Now you're coming across as more bothered, more desperate because you have less things for yourself. You're actually self-sabotaging like immensely Because as you take away things, right? You didn't go on the hike that you're used to going on, right? That's part of the things that will probably center you and ground you for the rest of your week, that make you feel good, that when a guy approaches you, you'll be feeling good about yourself and he'll feel that confidence exuding through you. You've taken that away from yourself. Now, when he contacts you, you're reading into every single little text and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, maybe I ruined it with the way that I texted him. Maybe he doesn't like me anymore because of the way that I responded this way or I didn't respond that way. And now, because you have less things for yourself, your sole source of happiness and validation is if this guy seems to like you or not. And you're actually going to end up making it harder for him to like you because of the things that you're doing and taking away from yourself in order to like get this guy to be interested in you. If you would have messaged me before you ever started doing this, my advice to you would be absolutely not. You're never going to miss a day because you want him to what? Text you or ask you out on a date? Let this thing develop over the course of time. You're there on the hike trail and in the community because you enjoy hiking, not for him. If he wants to meet you there and have conversation with you, perfectly fine. You're going to be there whether he wants to have conversation with you or not. If you go on the hike trip and he doesn't want to talk to you, you're still going to be there. If you go on the hike trip and he wants to have a conversation with you, you're still going to be there, right? It doesn't affect your life or your happiness whether he wants to talk to you or not. It's a much better place for you to be in mentally. And regardless of how he chooses to show up, whether he wants to just chat with you on these hikes or ask you out on a date, it doesn't affect your ability to have happiness and continue to enjoy this time that's supposed to be for you. Okay? I really dislike this because this is not your dating app. Okay? This is your you time. And I'm not saying you can't meet people when you join a community, right? And you can't allow those men to pursue you, but allow them to pursue you. And understand that you will be here because it serves your happiness. You're not going there to date men and be around more men, right? I always advise you guys, find something for yourself that you can do that just brings you happiness. That way you do it, and regardless of whether someone approaches you or doesn't approach you, you're still happy because you enjoy doing the thing. So I'm so mad at you, Purple Rain, because you finally find something that you enjoy doing that can be your thing. And now you stop doing that because you want a guy to validate you and ask you out on a date. And then just that fast, look at how you're acting. Well, now you're what are you apologizing for? I told you I'm going to scold you. What are you really and truthfully, what are you apologizing for? You're apologizing, right? Not because, oh, I don't want him to think I'm chatting. What did you say here that you apologize here, right? You said the night before he sent me a text. I interpreted that message. The next day, I didn't respond, right? I reached out and texting him how I didn't like his steps and to accept my apology. Why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything wrong. But what happens is because you have less happiness overall in your life, your anxiety is bubbling up faster and quicker, and you're reading into things more. And every single little thing that he says or doesn't say to you is like the end of the world to you now, because you're losing out on some of your happiness, which is coming from being part of this community, doing something that you enjoy. And now he's in a position of power where rather than him coming to you and talking to you on these hike trips and trails, him coming to you and starting conversation with you because he wants to pursue you and finds you interesting, rather you're the one apologizing for nothing. And his response is, yep, I don't really care. You're not that interesting to me anymore. Very embarrassing and a very bad way to go about this. Let me tell you what you're going to do, okay? Right? Purple Rain, you're going to go right back to your hike trips. I don't care whether he's there. You're not going to ask that. You're not going to look for him. You're not going to care whether he shows up or he doesn't. You're going to go on those hike trips. You're going to enjoy yourself in that community of people. And if he chooses to talk to you, then he can talk to you and have a conversation with you. If he doesn't choose to talk to you, you're not going to strike any conversation with him. You're not going to try and attempt to be around him or make it interesting for him. You're not going to text him. Delete his number right now, because you shouldn't be contacting him unless he contacts you from now on. Delete his number. You're not going to contact him, but you are going to go back on your hike trip and you're going to enjoy yourself in that community. And you're not going to base whether or not you go off of this guy. That is your thing for yourself. Okay? You're not going to take things away from yourself or your happiness because of a guy. You're there because you enjoy to be there. If he wants to talk to you while you're there enjoying your life, then he can choose to talk to you while you're there enjoying your life. But what you're not going to do is not go because of him. Because then what happens when you don't have him and you don't have your thing anymore? Now you're completely miserable. Okay? And I don't want that for you. So you're going to go right back to your hike trip and you're going to stay there. No more leaving or abandoning your thing for a man ever again. All right? Let's hop into our next question. I'll do one more. Is this one short? Yeah, this one's short. Okay. All right. Ariana says, long distance. I'm 31 and he's 31 as well. I met a guy while we were both visiting Phoenix. He lives in, I'm assuming you meant to say California, and I live in the Midwest. We have FaceTimed 3 times, once per week, over 3 weeks. He is sending me a gift for my birthday that I haven't received yet, but I'm hoping this is the beginning of princess treatment. He wants to fly me out because January is a busy time. I told him it would likely be February. I hope to FaceTime 1 to 2 times per week until then. My question is, if I plan on spending 4 days with him, how do I pace time with him? Is it even possible since I'm staying with him? He has already taken notes on places I would like to visit. He mentioned he has a spare bedroom that no, you're not doing any of this. No, you're not doing any of this. A spare bedroom that I could stay in. And I said, that's for sure where I'll be staying. No, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. Ariana, you're not doing that. So he already knows that it won't end up in, you're not doing that. I plan to keep the pace of the FaceTimes you've mentioned in the past. How often should I expect him to want to fly me out or him to fly out to see me? Okay. You're not doing that. Okay. If you go over there, first of all, my honest advice to you would be have a guy come to you first in a place where you're comfortable, because then you get to set the standards of when you see him and you're familiar with the place and you're familiar with the timing. The problem with going to him the first time is he's in complete control. He will be in a position of so much power and leverage because you don't know the area. You don't know where you can go or not go, and he'll be setting most of the itinerary for what happens throughout this time. What's also going to happen is if you go, because make no mistake about it, you met him in Phoenix. You don't really know this guy though. You might go there and you might realize, he's a little bit not my vibe. The problem with that though is when you go there for him, you're going to feel obligated to spend the rest of those days with him, even if it's not working out for you or you don't like the vibe. And because you have nothing else to do in that city or that area, because you're there for him, you're going to feel very, very obligated to do whatever he feels like doing, however he feels like doing it for however long. It's such a position of power that I'm worried so a lot of things could go wrong that way. Now, my personal advice is have him come to you first, and then afterwards you can go to him. That way you have more control. You're more familiar with the area. Also, you don't know this guy. I know you visited him in Phoenix, but trust me, I've seen enough true crime documentaries that I will definitely advise you against going and staying in the spare bedroom of what is essentially a stranger. I'm not saying he would do anything strange or weird to you, but you don't know this guy. You do not know this guy. You don't know what he's capable of. You don't know what his vibe is. You don't know any of his friends or his family. You can't corroborate anything that he's told you. You don't know any of that to be true. He can give you a story of anything. So to go over and sleep over in his house in a place that you're unfamiliar, where, you have no one that you can call in an emergency to come help you or come get you, very, very dangerous. I'll just put it that way, because we don't know what could transpire after that. My advice is if you want to get to know him for the first time, let the first time you get to know him be him coming to you. That way you can ensure if anything goes wrong, anything is weird, you have plenty of people in your area, in your city that you can contact to help you get out of a precarious situation, right? Not that you're in the middle of nowhere and the same guy who was supposed to be setting the vibes for you is now making you very uncomfortable, because then you're going to feel like there's no way out. And I don't want that for you. Okay? All right, chat. That is the show for today. For those of you who have a question for me, whether it be you want to send it in our free section, our premium section, or our private relationship advice forum, you can do all of that by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. Okay. For those of you who are watching me on TikTok and you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. It's Tomisin_Atub. Okay. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, it's also in my description, Tomisin_Atub. For those of you who are watching on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show from start to finish because you came late and you missed some parts, you can rewatch the show on my YouTube channel. It's just my name, Tomisin, on YouTube. And then you can go into the live section. You'll see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And you'll have the YouTube and TikTok live chat embedded in the video, so you won't miss any second of conversation that all you jokesters be having in the chat. All right. I'm here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to be here again tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. Got to figure out what time that is in your time zone. All right. Until we meet again, I bid you adieu. Hasta la vista, sayonara, ciao, salam, adios, arrivederci, bon voyage. And I will see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you so much. Bye. Just for now. Only be 24.